Welcome everyone to another. We're gonna have a bit of fun with Film Club Innerspace. It's an 80s classic. I was quite excited to watch this, and I actually very enjoyed it. It's a very different movie to what I think. This has got to be our first family comedy. I suppose you're going to class it as that. This is 1987 Innerspace. It would have to be classed as a family movie, wouldn't it? Really, it is quite
maybe like a PG comedy. I'm not gonna say family.
No, not like
but definitely in the PG level, kind of like, nothing too pushing the limit.
Yeah, but yeah, it's my choice. I've just put a little poll up there. Jay won't know this, so it's fine. Let's see who gets it right. It's a bit obvious. Sandy's definitely gonna get it. So yeah, you have to find out who the cowboy is.
I'm gonna take a guess.
Who doesn't look anything like the character that we're referring to. I mean,
because he's got hair.
and yeah, I think that's it. But
yeah,
I mean,
his hand, he's got hair, and he's very
now that you mention it, that might be the one. Like, the way we make fun of the fact that no one knows that Clark Kent is Superman, and all he does essentially is put a pair of glasses on, but it makes such a difference. I think just put the hair on, and totally unrecognizable. So men out there. All you men out there, put the hair on. You'll be completely unrecognizable. Hey, Viper, great to see you.
Yeah. Hey, Viper.
So we're gonna go through a bit of fun. Now, this is very, I'm guessing, in the wheelhouse of me and Sandy. I remember this is one of the ones we went through. Off screen.
We were born when it was out. Everyone else wasn't.
I remember this being the blockbuster movie. Like going to Blockbusters and picking it out like that. And I remember we went through the list of parents having the 15, 18-year-old ones, and I've got the Innerspace. So it's like that. So I'm guessing would this be Sandy? Would you have seen this at cinema, or was it again video?
I didn't, because it wasn't my thing, but I did see other films this year at the cinema. But interesting that you bring up the Blockbuster, because this film had a very...
Sorry, guys, I'm just gonna have to stop you for 2 seconds.
Oh my word,
because we do have a special guest. We do have a special guest tonight.
What?
Who really loves Innerspace. So yeah, he mentioned Innerspace on a live stream. So yeah, apparently the man who has never watched a movie at all had somehow stumbled across 1987 Innerspace.
Of all movies to have watched.
Wow.
How are you? And I did tell these guys. So surprise everyone.
Surprise.
This is quite a surprise. Hello, Mr. P. How's it going?
Hello. Yeah, good. So I did just watch this film again for the very first time in 20 odd years. I loved it, but I watched it at 2 times speed, so my opinion might be a bit weird.
So Dan, I don't know if you heard
did the ending still scare you?
The ending?
Stomach acid. Yeah, the stomach acid.
Oh, that wasn't the end. But
ending-ish, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The bad.
It still scared me, no, because it was all comedy. It was just So carry on.
No, we literally just got to it, so that's it. So the opening thing. Sorry, Sandy, you were going in before.
Well, no, now I have another person to ask, though. So Dan, you were old enough to see this in the cinema. Did you see it in the cinema?
I'm not that old. I'm not that old.
well, Jay wasn't even born.
It came out in 87, so I would have been 3.
I wasn't even a thought yet.
So I definitely didn't see this in the cinema.
Okay, now we know where we stand. But I was old enough, but I didn't. This wasn't one that I had seen in the cinema. To answer your original question, James.
Okay, yeah,
but I did do the research, and basically no one saw it in the cinema. So
so it's funny you say that, because I've been wondering this whole time. Because Stasis, you started by saying it was an 80s classic. And I was curious, was it really? Did it have that much of a... I had never heard of it till this.
I think it's more, it did well, probably the video sales, probably than the cinema. And I think it's because we did have a look, say, like that list of what was released in 1987 was huge. It was epic. It was like, what a year for cinema. So I think it did well, but yeah, it probably what you could have watched were better out there. But this is one I think is everybody kind of liked, like that. And maybe it didn't hold up because we'll find out from Jay because it was your first time watching it. But I think, like it's always in that kind of, if you were like, I say, like, the probably late 70s, early 80s child, these are kind of those stable movies that you remember probably like, in the 90s you watching, and like, especially for Brits, these were on TV quite a lot.
It was on TV a lot.
Yeah.
I will say it did remind me a lot of some, late 80s to 90s kind of wacky comedies, in terms of just the feel, the tone, the budget, the humor, kind of all of it. So that was right in line.
Now, James, you mentioned, a rental. Did you know, or I don't know if you were referring to it, but this film had a dedicated ad campaign around video sales and rentals. And it was one of the first films to have that. So perhaps that drove some of that. When we talk about the numbers, we'll see that the video rentals and sales actually drove the eventual profit that the film did make, but there was a dedicated campaign around it that really hadn't been there previously. So maybe you're remembering that because there were ads and probably signs in the windows that really pushed this film for the rentals and the sales.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, yeah, because I just remember it, being in their blockbusters. I want this, and then
pretty big names in it too, as far as actors. Martin Short, Quaid, Meg Ryan, fairly, I want to say at this point, like they were all pretty big at this point too, right?
Yeah, and anybody who's our age who had a crush on Meg Ryan when she was younger, there's probably a lot of people. That's probably her pool as well. They were getting a little bit of a crush.
It's funny because I just saw her the other day in a commercial. She's back on a commercial with God, what's his name?
Billy Crystal.
Yeah, Billy Crystal.
Oh yeah,
from
they did.
Harry Met Sally. They've got some commercial for something or other that I saw the other day, and I hadn't seen a Meg Ryan appearance in Lord knows how long.
Yeah, she had that period, didn't she? She actually had some work done, and it kind of went wrong, didn't it? So,
is that the case?
I think so. Yeah,
I never keep up with.
So she was out for a while, wasn't she? But they had they were together for ages off camera, weren't they? So they
got married.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, they were like decades. Yeah, decades. They were probably. Maybe this is the movie that got them together.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
is it?
I don't know. Maybe it was because I don't remember them.
I would imagine it probably had something to do with
other movies. I can't remember them being. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but I can't think of other movies they would have been in together. But hey.
Yeah, it was this film started it all.
So we're gonna go through the movie. If Dan's not seen it, we go through the movie, have a little discussion, and then find out that Jay was very too young to appreciate movies like this.
I don't know if that's the way I'd say it, but we can continue here. We'll get to it all.
Yeah. So we kind of get our introduction to our main. What's his name? Tuck. Is it Tuck?
Tuck
Pendleton.
Pendleton.
Yeah.
Fighter pilot.
He's a test pilot, fighter pilot, but now he's a bit of a drunk. So we have a kind of a very much like a kind of introducing to him that he's a bit of a wash up. He's he's down and out. He stumbles into like quite a prominent reception, absolutely out of his head, falls over, and they kind of escort him out. It's a very easy scene, the kind of things. It looks posh, it's all military. He has like a go at a few of them that they're going to be going up in space or something.
Some of them are astronauts. He's a little jealous.
So there's obviously we pop it in. So he kind of just gets chucked out, doesn't he? But when
they beat him up,
they kind of get him out like that.
He gets him
out. Yeah. But lucky enough, Meg Ryan's there. He's what do you want to call it? She's there also.
Love interest.
Love interest, but she's also I can't think of the name. Reporter. Yeah, journalist. So she's interviewing. She's a bit embarrassed, and then she gets him back to his room. He's very, very drunk. She's still not happy with the situation. But then he plays the song, and like the soundtrack in this is very corny, but it's very catchy.
Yeah, some decent songs in it though.
Yeah, so yeah, it's so she's not happy, but he knows how to press her buttons, I'm guessing is the correct terminology. So he kind of gets her to spend the night. She in the morning rushes out. The cab driver this cab driver, I can't remember, but he's in loads of things. He's in loads of like that 90s, early 2000 like TV programs. It's like, he's been in like a lot of Star Trek as well. Like it's just one of those faces that you see in them he's playing just a stand-in where he has a few lines.
His name is Dick Miller.
Yep. He's been in Terminator. He's been in several episodes of NYPD Blue and some of those like 90s and early 2000s comedy, not comedies, series. He was in The Burbs. So he's just
oh my god, The Burbs.
Moonlighting, the TV series. You
can say whatever you like to Highlander. We'd always go at him. Sorry, Sandy.
Oh no, but yeah, he's just in a lot of this guy was in a ton of stuff, just little roles in a lot of television and films. So yeah, he's got one of those faces, memorable faces.
So back to the Meg Ryan. What's her character's name? I keep on saying like Meg Ryan, but what's her name? Lydia.
Sexy reporter, number one.
Sexy reporter. She kind of tries to sneak out. The cab driver beeps his horn, and then of course one for the ladies. She goes past, and then he's left in the street.
Look, I'm disappointed. There's no shadow. Like, if you look at his shadow, where's the little dangle bit?
I would have never even thought to have looked for such a telltale sign.
I love that. That means, Dan, you were looking for it. You were like, I'm pausing it.
I was hoping for it.
But hang on just a minute. I do want to point out the artistry here in this shot. So you see him, and then you see the Transamerica Tower, which is the tallest tower in San Francisco. So I'm just pointing out. Like, I know, Dan, you would appreciate the artistry there of that. Power in the foreground.
The buns. This is the thing. Like, you've got these, again, it's like an 80s movie, but it was actually no breasts. This is an 80s one where, this is the most. It's literally, this was a period where they love a woman needs to get her breast out. Why? Because we need it.
Because
sex
sells.
Yeah.
The 80s, they didn't give a fuck. They just wanted.
It was just you have to have boobs, and that's it. Storyline, don't care. That's thing. So the women get a little bit of the up here, and Dan, of course, got a little bit up here.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So we kind of get left. He's left in the lurch, and then of course we get fade out for Silicon Valley 2 months later, and we're in to see our hypochondriac Martin Short, who
Jack Putter, I think Jack Putter,
Simple Jack, we'll call him. But yeah, he's a hypochondriac. He's a nervous wreck. Reasons because that's his personality. He's literally all over the place, and he's trying to explain what is his new nightmare to things that he keeps on seeing. The lady. It's like, that's a good haircut. That is a good haircut. That's a
that's almost out of what's the witches one?
Hocus Pocus. Hocus
Yeah,
Pocus. Yeah, it does.
It almost looks like
that. Bette Midler, I think, her character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So he explains that he's been a dream where he's beeping through and the prices go up and up and up, and I think it's like over to like $100,000, and then she pulls out a little pistol, and and then he wakes up. That's all he knows. And then it cuts to the introduction. This is like, I would say, like to this movie, it very gets you quickly past the bits to set up the actual, I suppose, the chase scenes. It very quickly gets, you don't need to have a stumble across any of their background. It's all very things like, even with like the next bits when we get to see, you know, he's back, he's slapping himself in the face. Pendleton, was Tate? What's his name? No, what's his first name?
Tuck.
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 I
know, it's
Tuck. But he's in like I like this the setup of like the you know, he's going around like he's the man. He's like, he's like the playboy now test pilot of what we're getting, like the snippets of this really tight in close I suppose test facility. We don't know what it is. We get kind of introduced to like the scientists who are like nerdy scientists like that, you know. It's military kind of established. They're like they're like an offshoot to it, I suppose, like that you get a lot. And then of course we get to see a pod, especially we get things like that. And then there's, you know, everybody's working, we're gonna run the tests, but you don't really know by this point what they're actually doing. There's no to say this is an experiment. All you know is you get to see a rabbit. That's it, a couple of times. But apart from that, you don't actually know what he is actually the test pilot of. You just kind of get he's going to be doing something. And then you kind of get the mechanics of the chip, the spinning, everything's happening, everything's lit up, the machines are going kind of wild. It's very a very good 80s play of how to deliver what is actually the movie about, with actually not explaining a lot. It's just we don't need to explain it.
It definitely doesn't explain a lot. That's for sure.
It's just literally we're going to go straight into it. That we're gonna shrink you, and then it's literally so we get a couple of great 80s graphics, and that is really what we kind of see really on the until you get him in a little syringe, and that's it. You don't need to know. It's just he's in a syringe. That is why we've seen. We know there's an experiment with a rabbit. That is it. But whilst this is happening, of course, we need to have the bad guys, and the bad guys need to turn up as phone repairmen. Like that. And it is like when you actually look at this whole like thing when they come in, it's a top secret, like it would be government funded organization, and they just
government secured.
There's literally the guy like maced in the face or whatever, like gas, like a knockout gas. They put their respirators on and they're in. There's like it's literally there's a setup. That's what we're having. We don't need to be clever about it. The movie, it's just we just need to get this bit to Martin Short. We need to get that connective tissue. That's all this is here for, because it's very quick scenes. Like this is very like it doesn't stumble over each other. It's just like the pacing, just get the pacing there. So it's very big. And then we get to see again. We go back and forth. We're going back and forth. Again, we get to see he's been shrunk, and we get to see like, and now it's we need help to do to inject him into the rabbit because that's the experiment. But unfortunately, just as that happens, the bad guys break into this laboratory. It sings, and then of course, who is the leader of what we see is she's pretty. She's a woman. It's like that. She's a doctor as well, and they're here to steal the chips. And I love this because it looks like it's something out of B&Q. Yeah, literally, it looks like a washer. That is like it. There is no science behind this. It looks like.
Pardon me. What's B&Q? Pardon me.
Lowe's.
For us,
like a Home Depot, I would imagine, or like a Lowe's.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay. Thank you for those across the pond. We appreciate the translation. Thank you.
But and I say for you guys like this, like I didn't mind the pacing, but for Jay, is it a bit weird because it is literally It's literally when we don't need like we're not explaining anything. We're just going straight in.
I mean, it definitely has that problem for me where it's just jumping point to point to just try to do what it wants to do without really thinking about how it should do it. But when it comes to a movie like this, like we always talk about scales and how we analyze them and grade them. Like this one, I'm not expecting the writing or anything to be as, thought out or as well explained as, an Oscar movie. But even for the level of just like a family friendly comedy, it is just really jumpy at this point and like very random and just moving along like, well, there's this, and this is going to happen. There's just not a lot of connective going on between it or connective material between it. And again, not that I'm expecting anything insane because it's just a goofy little comedy, but it just feels like it's a little bit of whiplash, like back and forth. What the hell is going on here? Just thing to thing type of deal.
I would say looking back at it, it's to get to the comedy bit. Because at the moment,
and you can tell that it's just trying to get to where it wants to be, which is Martin Short and Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and like Dennis Quaid, like you actually think about it, like except for the first part and the end bit, he's literally he's in that pod. He's got a great acting. You forget that he's literally acting. He's like in one room, one camera, and it's like you got paid well for doing not a lot really. So it's things, but what about Dan? What did you think? Like, say for your reboot.
What is it? Like at this point, I'm like, okay, is this a government facility because they don't look very well funded, and what's going on? They obviously established before that the main character, whatever his name was, I forgot his name now. Tug.
Pendleton.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to throw it on screen in the background somewhere.
I
can't remember nothing, but like
Brits don't get anybody called Tuck. Like we don't. That's why.
He obviously they established that he's like into his like robotics and he's into rabbits, like really into rabbits at the beginning. So like, is this his whole project? Like, has he been working on this for years?
That's a good point.
Is he still at the military? Like is it a military thing or is it a private thing? Because it looks like it's a private thing because they're on an industrial state with no security. So that I was getting a little bit confused at that point. Like,
he comes in with uniform, doesn't he? So
that's a good point. It's almost like it's a private that's contracting a pilot through the military, which I can buy that. But then Dan has a good point. There is that whole setup at his apartment where he's got all the science, experiment stuff going on, like, which is kind of not really something they touch on again, like his own intellect throughout this whole thing. It's kind of like
about the rabbit when he goes
he's got these robotic arms and stuff in there. So like he's obviously very smart, but his intellect doesn't really come into play much because even when he's in the ship inside of Martin Short, which spoiler alert, we'll get there. He's kind of reading manuals and stuff, which you have to be smart enough to figure out the manuals and work. I would imagine this scientific ship. But it doesn't make it feel like he's got some kind of like scientific intellect like it does just visually in those scenes in his apartment. It seems like something they just kind of set up and then don't do anything with.
Yeah, because but is it just to set up the personality? Because you got the rabbits, you got with the rabbits here, and even with his drinking with the arm, you got the later with the hit flask, and that's the arm coming out, isn't it? So I think it's just to get that mindset that you've in your brain that you've seen it before, but you've seen it in the background. So when you do see it, it's like, oh, that's it. That's part of his trait already. I don't think they tried to be too clever. It's just like that.
Definitely didn't.
No. Or do you think they were thinking about being clever and then it just got too complicated?
Well, yeah, that's kind of how I wonder. Like, was that meant to be something and they just kind of left it afterwards? Like, we're not going to use this, part of it. Or he wasn't part of this experiment leading up to it.
But it could be highly edited, couldn't it? Like there was parts of it that they tried to run through to bring it down. Because
That's
is like
what I was wondering.
Yeah, it's it's one of those in the 80s and 90s. They like to get it down to you can't have it more than 2 hours. It's that to kind of get it that runtime to get them people to actually go and have a watch at the cinema. 2 hour movie. That's a bit long, isn't it?
But it's strange though, because when I rented this film and I saw it was 2 hours, I was like, how can this film be 2 hours? In my brain, it was one of those 1.5 hour because there's really there's a lot that goes on, but there's not a lot that goes on. It's not a complicated plot. So they did spend a lot of time kind of going back and forth with so many different characters, even though there's just a few main characters. There's a lot of characters running around in this film in different places, and maybe that could have been a little more tight, in the final production. But I did think, at least in the beginning here, I thought, oh my gosh, what else did they cut out? Because it does feel so choppy. So it had to be really bloated when they started chopping this thing down.
Yeah, because even with the next bit with the chasing, because you get that, like, it's very quick how he gets from A to B. It's like that, and we kind of get introduced again with our baddie, I suppose, like that, the man with one hand, and it's just like
a question. Sorry, just because I don't know America. So Silicon Valley. So where is Silicon Valley?
California.
So what city are they in?
Outside of Los Angeles.
Oh, I thought it was a little closer.
Oh, they're in San Francisco. Yeah, they're in.
Right.
They're around San Francisco. Yeah.
This is occurring in San Francisco.
The whole of California.
Yeah, closer to the coast.
Like, in my British mind, I see a valley that's made out of silicon, and that's literally it. Like,
so it refers to computer chips. It refers to the area of California where all the chip makers were. So your companies like, that were doing all the high end, and still today are doing the high end.
Like all tech.
Yeah, exactly. Doing the real high end stuff.
I suppose like they refer to it in this instead of saying San Francisco because it was getting bigger because of the computers that were coming out of there. So they wanted a reference to that and to say the chip, because it's all about finding the chip, who's got the chip. So I'm guessing it's supposed to be a reference as well to that. Yeah, why they didn't say San Francisco, because it's all the backdrop is San Francisco. It's like that we get to see even the Golden Gate Bridge. So
and there were so many films in this time made there, not today because it's a completely different city, but you had all of the landmarks, and really, it makes for beautiful filming. You have the sunset over the Pacific, but you also have just a total playground for car chases because of the hills in San Francisco and the streets. So if you're going to have a car chase, you're going to want to have San Francisco. The actor that plays the head scientist, I've never seen him in anything else before. He looks like kind of your typical scientist guy, but kudos to him. I thought he played a really good part. I thought he did an amazing job for the, relatively small time on the screen. But I totally bought his character, trying to, in a few minutes, grab the syringe and keep it at all costs and keep it safe. I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think, as I say, like, you have to take this movie with the acting in it. They all do what they've been told to do, and it's like it's literally, it's one of those ones where you're not going to like you're not going to, this ain't going to win Best Picture Oscar.
Yeah, you can't put it under that kind of microscope.
No, it's not. It's literally for that that fun little bit of you can sit down, have your popcorn, and it's just literally a little bit of a fun. It's a fun ride, and like I think, like from except for Jay and Neil, like who's here, it's probably a bit of nostalgia as well. You kind of like there's movies that you remember from your childhood, I suppose, like that. You remember your family, like you and your family watching together, and this is one of them. And I think it's that like this isn't one. If they remade it, it would be darker. There would be a really like Taub, like it would be a dark, like a black comedy, I suppose, like you were going to call it. It wouldn't be this kind of like a little bumbling, a little high-spirited comedy where it is. It's not like an over comedy. It's just like a slapstick, but not. It's like it sits in between somewhere. So
it's like a wacky, adventure kind of comedy.
That's it. Yeah. So yeah, we get the baddie, who's of course. We see him just pick up a little. He's one finger is protruding in his glove. We don't know why yet, but yeah, he's followed the scientist to the mall, as the correct terminology is. But who's there booking a holiday? It's our simpleton Jack. Simple Jack. No, Jack. Jack's there. He's being told by the doctor to get some time. He doesn't want, and even to the point of like, oh, you want a bit of romance on the cruise? No, I just can't have that. It can't have too much excitement. So you kind of get what who he is. He's a bit of a like a oddball, I suppose you want to call it. He's like he
That's a good word for it. He's
Yeah,
an
he's
oddball.
quirky.
He's a bit of a, he's not really done much. He's like kept himself to himself, and like when anything gets in his way, what the first thing he does is probably has an asthma attack. It's literally it's hyperventilating, all that. So yeah, we have that, and then of course, but who's again? Now we get the hunt, I suppose, like that. And we just get I love it. It's so, this bit is what you expect from an 80s mall. It's literally everything's good. I'm guessing they're probably like the shopping centers we get in the UK, completely dead now. Like that. They're not big. So this is things. But whilst we get that, we get our doctor.
That's a terrible picture.
He's the best one I get, but that's it. He's there. He runs off from our guys, and then we find out that the glove is not a glove. He's got a gun in it, like a gun finger, I suppose you want to call it, like that. And so he shoots. We don't know. You don't know that he's actually hit the scientist until he goes into the lift, and you see a little red mark on his back, and he's going up. And of course, it's literally, again, it's very easy 80s writing, even to probably the 90s, of like, it's just a coincidence.
Oh my God, but that elevator was so slow, just like all the malls in the 80s. Like, that's how those mall elevators were. It's like, here's this big chase scene, right? He gets in the elevator and it's like, do, 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 and it's like so slow.
See, that would have been funny if they did that. He's like,
some music.
Just literally, that kind of lift music, that kind of static lift music. It would have been funny. But yeah, he's panicking. He's trying to save the vial, the needle, syringe, I suppose, like that, the syringe. And of course, lifts open. Who's there? Our bumbling Jack. And of course, just because it's coincidence, he knows he's dying. He's like, he's been shot, but let's give him a stab in the bum, like that. So yeah, and I've not been on. The first thing you're going to do after this, anybody, if you got a needle in your bum by a stranger, you're going to hospital. You're gonna get
scream.
You're
hospital.
not going to work. Yeah, you're like, what just happened? Somebody just literally injected me with something.
And not to mention that they like fall over and die 30 seconds later too. So something ring an alarm, you would imagine.
Yeah. Well, that guy just died, and literally, he's quite calm about it.
With Lord knows what.
Yeah, because you go
with all these animals around him.
That's what I'm saying. He's supposed to be quirky. It's like every single it's like a furry convention just happened in the 80s. It's very weird. But yeah, so we get that. Lucky enough, there's a camera guy who's been taking cameras because that's a setup for later. But then
I didn't even catch that. I was wondering how that paid off later when we see the photos, and I was wondering where the hell those came from. I didn't even catch this guy.
That's it. Yeah,
it's lucky he was like super resolution 35 mil.
Yeah.
That's an 80s camera. That's what they had.
Actually, the cameras back then were much better than the crap today. They're better than digital cameras.
Oh, that's right.
We got a camera expert.
I actually do remember that now. The guy with the finger guns takes the camera from him. I like totally.
But they've got to get it processed. So they had their own processing station as well.
Yeah, they must have had the old red room at the back at the fortress, wherever the hell they were.
They did.
But from that, it's like, again, this movie up to this point, whether it's been like 25 minutes into the movie, is all to this point. This is it. We just need to get to this point but we don't really care. We're giving you a brief insight of what it is. It's the fun, the comedy element is he's now got a being, little minuscule, like Dennis Quaid in his backside, who's now thinks he's in a rabbit. But literally, I love this bit because I would be panicking. Look at that. That's quite calm. You've just seen somebody die. That's quite shocking. But that guy just stabbed you with a syringe.
What's funny about how random this movie is that just hearing you describe where we are to the movie in this point kind of really gets the idea across. I think you said where with a guy who has Dennis Quaid stuck in his butt who thinks he's in a rabbit. It's like, okay, this is a movie.
That was the pitch. That was it. But you actually feel like it's
like when you process it like that, it's like, wow, this really is an 80s comedy.
It is. It's just literally there are so many of like this time period, and like just that. It's just this. It's literally a little bit of fun. It's literally we're going to get there, and we're going to get to that point because we're just going to have a little bit of fun with this movie.
I will say, you can appreciate the just kind of like in a day when, you know, a lot of these film clubs, we always chat a little bit after we talk about the movie about how just not creative and unoriginal Hollywood is nowadays. Even for movies like this, silly little goofy ones, it is something you can appreciate that they were just giving anything a try, man. Like you can put it on a script, we'll green light it and see what happens. So
yeah,
fair enough. For better or worse, at least they gave things a try, let people be creative.
Yeah.
But films didn't cost as much back then.
Yeah, there's that. There's definitely that too.
Yeah, they go over the top. But some of the CGIs in this, like I will go on to that later, but it stands up, some of it. Yeah. It's like that. It still looks very, very, very good. I was like trying to watch. I was like, how did they do that? Like in your mindset, it's the 80s, and you're like, so it does actually feel like, except for these weird. This is your body. I don't know where in your body this is. Anybody?
I thought it was like cholesterol in an artery or something. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, some kind of fatty moment. But here,
so we know. Cells. He said, "Is this the fat cells?"
Yeah. So we're in that. Of course, whilst we're getting that, we find out that our assassin hasn't yet. His hand is not a hand. It's mechanical. It's like
Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, it is. It's literally like something you would get out of James Bond. It is like that. It's
when he was walking through the mall, he was like Terminator-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell they were trying to go for that.
Yeah, he didn't have. Did he have any lines?
No,
I don't remember actually speaking.
Movie.
I think
not even in the end. Well, in the end, technically, he makes a sound. I'll give him that. He got something.
A gurgle. I just can't remember, but yeah. So now we get Tuck. Yes. Keep score, chat. Keep score. Has woken, like kind of, he's awake. He's in a strange universe, like that. He can't make contact to any of the scientists. He doesn't know what's going on. But meanwhile, instead of going to hospital, Jack goes to work, and he is a shop assistant, I'm guessing we would call it.
Well, yeah.
Cashier.
Yeah,
cashier.
Yeah,
that is great. Like you don't get bow ties in the UK cashiers. That'd been great.
You do find out
you do have
in
to
a
wear
little
ties,
bit that he's the manager or assistant manager.
Is he?
Apparently. Yeah, apparently.
Oh, did he? I missed that. So
yeah,
you get the other
photos, but it's coming up. Spoilers.
The spoilers, yeah.
Oh no, you've ruined it for everyone.
Sorry.
But whilst he's doing that, he gets kind of told off by the other. Now, who's the other? Like he's a manager. He's been in loads of things. I'm sure he's in the.
He was in the Burbs as well.
Burbs.
Like
I was going to Tom Hanks.
Many crossovers from the Burbs in this film.
So like I know him from. You talking about the little old guy?
Yeah, and I couldn't get.
I know him from an old Disney Channel original movie called The Luck of the Irish from when I was a kid. And I love that movie because basketball is my favorite sport. So I always love watching that one. And he played, I think, like a leprechaun or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. But the second I saw him, I recognized him. And the second my wife walked into the room while we were watching, she's like, "Isn't that the guy from Luck of the Irish?" And I was so happy that she also remembered it because I'm like, nobody's going to know this reference when I say it later.
Man. Yeah, it's like that. And the other guy, you just kind of like, they're like just stables of everything in the things. I'm like, was it Erie? I think he was like maybe even Erie, Indiana as well, like a TV like from the 90s, like that. I can't be, I just like, you go, but it's your childhood as well. It's like that. You remember these faces. It's just like that. But yeah, from that, of course, now the dream is not a dream. It's real. She's back.
He's
worried. Like that. And he is, and like it's great. Like he's panicking. It's he does the old beep 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 thing. Oh, there you go. Look, you got it. Yes, thank you, Erie, Indiana. I love that show. But she pulls out the gun. Everybody's going, "This is too expensive shampoo" and all that. So she pulls out the pistol. and it's a lighter. It's like, but what does he do? He has a full panic attack. As he does, gets put out the back. Whilst then, I like this. Like whilst he's doing this, Tuck is going to his eye implant, and he's literally shoots that thing into his eye socket. Ow!
Yeah. but that
I
whole
did not like that.
The whole scene beforehand was the Tuck trying to work out where he was, and he was sending out these electromagnetic pulses or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So how was he having premonitions? Was Jack like? Has he got like?
Because it came true, right?
It was exactly what he was thinking.
Oh, I see. I kind of looked at it as if it was like a hallucination that Tuck was triggering through those EMPs or whatever the hell it was that he was doing. Like I thought it was a hallucination of the nightmare that he was triggering, but I'm not sure.
I didn't see that at all. I saw it
because she's identical. Like you can understand if she was slightly different, but she's identical from the dream state, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I assumed it was fake.
Yeah. Maybe.
Interesting.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Conspiracy theories, everyone. Which way is it?
Well, it is a question we don't get answered. That's a good. It's a good question because in normalcy, the dream would not have come true. So
I just noticed
down to the outfit and everything.
Gone just because. Look at the. Just notice Bobby will marry Pam.
Dallas.
Dallas.
I don't know.
I was just like, that's funny. Just like, yeah. Anyway, so we go back. Tech has got Jack. He's in absolute agony. The kind of, just kind of get rid of him like that. It's like, go home. So he goes to the doctors finally, because that's what you would have done around about half an hour ago in real time. But whilst that Tuck has now got not only can see, but he now can talk to him, and hello, can you talk to me? And he's like that. And I like it because he's like, I think I'm going absolutely mad, and it's literally when he even gets and sits down. I love this bit. It's quite funny because he's just like, you talking to me? He's just like, and he's like, please just answer me back. Who are you? We're like that, and it's just again, it's setting up a very simple comedy moment of they're the odd couple, but unfortunately one of the couples is inside of you, and he's tiny. And it's just it's great. Martin Short, how he plays this bit, because like how he's getting fed like the lines of like, this is what's actually happening, because this, of course, the scenes are completely separate to each other in completely different sound studio. So how he does this is really good, because he's got to play the part of like, I'm hearing voices, what is going on, and I'm a bit paranoid already. And of course the doctor gets to him. He's having his panic attack. And I like this when they're like, oh, what's happening now? And he sort of says like, what is it? You need to be flayed, isn't it? Like that or something like that. What is the description of the voice?
Yeah,
well, the only thing I know is like in the
old days, in medieval times, yes, we would have flayed the skin off the bodies.
That's it. Yeah, it's just like, it's a silly little comment. It's just like, it's again to go. The doctor's like, oh, he's my a patient that pays me quite well, and I don't really need to give him any real drugs because he's a bit of a loony. Let's say that. But we forget that we finally get Jack to answer Tuck. They're kind of just having a kind of a conversation as like of what is going on. Who am I? I'm not going mad. I'm actually, I'm inside of you. What's actually happened. He's just kind of come to terms with the experiment kind of went wrong, and that's it. And of course, again, it's the jump in the movie is just to get to the next point. It is literally, so we get the photographs and all that, and they lead him this delivery boy, I suppose you want to like, who's they must have realized he was getting tickets to a cruise and things. But also, who would let anybody in their house when they say, "Can I use the phone, please?"
I just want to use the phone. Yeah.
Just want to use the phone. And he's like, "Yes." You were
I
like,
guess it's
"No."
before mobile phones, so
Still, would you? No, you're like, no. But again, it shows. It's supposed to show his insecurity. He can't. He's not.
naivety.
He's a bit of a weak man, I suppose, like that. He's supposed to be a bit. He's a bit,
wimp.
you know.
He's a
Wimp.
dweeb.
Yeah, yes, a dweeb.
Like we talked about last week.
Yeah, but that's it. It's literally, yeah, he's a dweeby character, but he's the comedy element. I think he does it. I think he does it well. And of course, all through this is where Tuck's going. He has a feeling. Run. It's like that. So yeah, and of course, yeah, they get out and then they get really again. It's just to get him running, the blood pressure and all that. But he gets him to get back to the laboratory.
That moment where he tells him to kind of where he follows the instructions and he becomes like a stronger, better, faster person because of it. That's quite a pivotal moment in the film because he's like listening to that voice in his head and he can actually do something that he was never able to do before.
Yeah, go now, go left, go right. Yeah,
exactly. It, so he's suddenly starting to think that he's stronger than he is or he's better than he is. So you see a shift in his character then, definitely.
Well, he's not second. He's always second guessed his own actions, isn't he? Now he's being no, do it now. You got to do it now. It's like that. There's two of us now. It's fun.
It's almost like the concept of and I don't know if they really went for this or not, but the way Dan just broke it down like that, it almost sounds like they go for the concept of like, what if the little voice in your head was encouraging instead of you know always kind of making you doubt yourself, and kind of how that would change somebody's attitude and everything.
I like
so
that.
it is actually an interesting concept. Yeah, that was a great breakdown, Dan, because I didn't even think of it like that until you said it. And when you do, it's like, wow, that's actually a really kind of artistic way to do it. If that was really, maybe we're just applying more thought to it or not, but it works. It kind of
because it shows you this later on as well, and there's a point later on where it kind of highlights that because he thinks he's doing something, but whatever.
Not. Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead too much.
Don't think there's many spoilers. But don't listen to the voices in your head when they say you do something bad.
I'm already here.
That was my voice. But yeah, so yeah, I like this. Like that before that, it was I couldn't get a good clip, but like because his heart rate is going well, like the danger Tuck is actually in because of course the experiment is supposed to be a rabbit, in control of things, but now he's in somebody whose heart, he gets sucked nearly into the heart. And I love the computer is always warning him, like, where he's going. So you kind of know exactly what, the danger of like the craft is in through this computer system that you don't have a clue unless you're like, very highly into biology, what it would, what's actually going on. But how they do, the big blood cells, everything coming over him. It's well done to give you that kind of sense of, well, there's danger always with Tuck now. I think it's like that. And of course, yeah, we get through to that, and then he gets back to the laboratory. Kind of, who are you? We believe everything you do. Sit down, like that. And it's only by the things that Tuck is saying to get him to say to them that they kind of believe who it is, even though the two guys we like the now I suppose military liaison officers. I'm guessing they would be. They don't like Tuck. Nobody likes Tuck. Tuck's a bit of an arse.
He's not a likable guy.
Not a likable character at all.
No.
But he's a useful crash dummy, test dummy, if you will. So here's where, okay, we had all this setup, but boy, he got to that lab really quickly. And I know it's because Tuck's telling him where to go and all that stuff, but he gets there really quickly. And then, what follows from there, escaping, and it's really fast. Even if you do have a little voice inside your head, that was moving really fast.
I think this is what this movie does, doesn't it? It doesn't give you the in-betweens. It gets you bang straight to B. We're going straight to B. We don't need that middle section. As I'm saying, it's like they just cut out that 10 seconds. Cut out that 10 seconds. You don't need it. And it's just like, it's made that dramatic effect of time not relevant in this movie. It's like that, like I suppose it's supposed to be over 24 hours, but it's not. But yeah, so we get that, and we get again, Tuck is doing kind of his little tricks that he's kind of got the manual for. Is he can through the window he can up the sound so he can actually hear what them two saying, and it's literally we don't care. We can kind of we get the chip, we can get it later if he's going to run out of oxygen. Yeah, so be it. We don't he's expendable. It's Tuck. Who cares? But then Tuck's like, no, we need to get the second chip to get, what we now know is stolen. But you need to go. So he kind of gets him to ready to go. Of course, he's talking, he's ready to go. He goes to things and he's like, but what? And then he explains, would you want this little dead being inside of you? I love that. It's just like that creepy. It's like, because he knows he's a bit of a hypochondriac or whatever, and he's like a bit like that. And I love that little thing. It's like, would you want this little human skeleton floating around in your in you for the rest of your life?
That did it.
It's just it's like, yeah, I'm out. It's a great little thing. It's things, and so he goes off to get his Mustang, his red Mustang and he gets, again, it's very quick, this bit. Again, they like the drive. They're kind of talking as Dan said, like he's a bit proud of himself. He's escaped. Don't know, he's just like, his energy levels have got that, but of course it's Tuck really going for him to do that. And I think this is quite relevant in this scene, is where he goes, I need a drink. And he's like, oh, I don't drink. And he's like, grab some Southern Comfort. And the thing is, who would drink Southern Comfort straight?
Cheap and it's hot, hits you hard. That's like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, I can't say I haven't done that before. So
oh, really?
I don't know that I want to remember it either. It wasn't
straight. I think Southern Comfort Coke or lemonade.
You used to do always SoCo and Coke, or just, if not, you just gotta put it down.
Oh no, it's so sweet. It's really it's like syrup, isn't it? It's like, it's like
not great. It's not great.
It's very but so he gets into going to his apartment where we get all the little gadgets, we get the more rabbit pictures and all that, and I need a drink, and again it's gets his flask out with like that. How much saliva would be in that flask as well?
I know.
I don't care.
I'm sorry, just gross. Yeah.
When it's coming down, you're like, no, that wouldn't be something. He would do.
But what's the scale of this like little machine that's inside him? Because are the molecules in the drink gonna be too big or whatever? Because that's why he can't breathe.
Dan, that's
a great point though, because he's too small to even be seen inside the syringe.
Yeah,
but here he appears to be the size of like a piece of food, like a little crumb of food stuck in your throat. So that's significantly different.
The scale does change quite a bit throughout the film, especially right at the end. Yeah.
But who cares?
Don't peel back the curtain.
It's the 80s. Like, a lot of this film wouldn't have worked if it was made now. Because it's the 80s, 90s.
It's the original Ant-Man. Yeah. It's the original Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I do think that cheesiness of kind of general cheesiness genre of 80s comedies gives it a big kind of pass on a lot of the analytical things like that.
Well, that's it, because this next scene, they get drunk. You have more time about him dancing, messing around than you do within the passage of time to get to A to B. They were like, well, we can have you dancing around, getting drunk, and having this is the comedy moment. It's literally, he's not a drinker. He's messing around. He's being really silly, dancing with the robot arm. And it's they're getting drunk.
This was where they got to let Martin Short just be Martin Short for a while.
This kind of reminded me of Short Circuit type feeling. especially like because of the robot arm and whatever. It kind of like had that same sort of feel to it.
Was that one first? Was Short
Yeah,
Circuit
Short
first?
Circuit was the year before, I believe.
Okay, well there you go.
Hmm.
You know, a lot of
Jay,
these
do you know
easy
Johnny
comedies
Five's
copy off
alive?
of each other.
Do I know who?
Johnny Five is alive.
Who's Johnny?
No, never
The
heard
song?
of it.
Oh my god!
Well, when you
Oh
when
my
you do
God.
that one, bring me back. I'll come back.
Who's Johnny? Who's
Johnny
Johnny?
Five's alive.
Oh my god, that film's got problems.
That does. The second one's even worse. The second one's bad. The second one's bad. But yeah, they're having a good old time, and then he goes, "Oh, it goes. I actually not seen you." So he gets to a mirror, and he's even to the thing, isn't it? We're gonna need some help. He looks at him. He's like, "Oh no, what am I stuck into?" But why was that? He gets put down, and he finds a picture of course, our lovely Meg Ryan. So he's kind of they're both he's a bit drunk. But it's to find the help of his ex-girlfriend. I guess it's ex-girlfriend, like 3 months. Was it 3 months past?
2 months, only 2 months.
2 months past. So yeah, and then we get to her. She's doing her job, and this is where we first get, there's been a break-in at the laboratory. They know about it, but also who is arriving? The most important character, the cowboy. And that's it. So the cowboys arrived, and we quickly find out that he's a kind of an arms dealer. He's a thing. Dan, do you know who this is?
He's
I guess
no idea.
Dan. No,
Who is it?
Yeah, I have no idea either.
the chat.
Oh, seriously?
chat.
Neither of you know who that is.
I got a poll up, people. 67%.
Let me see who I guessed. I forget who I even guessed on it.
I know you two haven't watched. Star
I was
Trek.
wrong.
You don't know your Star Trek people.
Anyway, let's end the poll because Sandy,
poll.
do the honors. Who is this? Who is
He's
the cowboy?
the doctor. He's the holographic doctor from Star Trek.
Who put Beverly Crusher?
That was actually my guess.
Well, that's
I was
the
like, that
other
name
doctor.
sounds really familiar.
That's the other doctor.
Yeah. So
Who's
anybody
not a
who's
holograph.
a Voyager, Star Trek Voyager, this is the EMH Doctor. It does make me laugh every time because he's very young and he's got a bit of curly mop hair, really. Like that.
The curls are crazy.
And he's not really a cowboy, and it makes me like his whole little scene.
And a ridiculous accent. How about that accent?
I don't know where, like, is he supposed to be like? I'm guessing from South America somewhere. I'm guessing that they don't really play it on where he's actually from. But
I don't know, but wherever he's from, he's trying to sound like Texan through whatever crazy accent he's got. It's very bizarre. Very bizarre.
I'm guessing because he's obsessed with cowboys, isn't he? Because there's when he's singing. But he loves his cigars. And he gets told off. But whilst that, of course, this is happening. This is just introduction. He stabs out the cigarette on his hand just to show him a tough guy as well, because why not? It's just a bit of it's a very strange character. Like he's so far out there. It's just it's just a very bizarre that he's the arms dealer that you would call on. Yes, we need the cowboy, but this is who you get. But then of course we get Jack has now got down and hunted down Tuck's girlfriend, who is called Liddy. Hot reporter number one. That would do. And they go for kind of, after she takes the keys away, and he kind of just says, "Shut up," like that, doesn't he? Shut up, but in that tone of voice again. And then they go for like a luncheon. It's a bit of back and forth. It's not needed because all it is for how we got there, how we got to the restaurant. We do not know, but the baddie who doesn't talk, he just turns up.
Oh, he's
Is it
everywhere.
me?
He's just everywhere.
Yeah, but how does he get to this restaurant? I'd never got. This is literally
Bad writing.
getting him. Yeah, it's literally there is no need for it. There isn't any reason to that. It's just to get to the next bit of next scene.
There was no explanation at all. You didn't see
Yeah,
him
no.
following him.
Yeah,
You didn't see
no.
like just a kind of like, ooh, he's over there. You didn't see
Yeah.
anything.
You haven't seen him since the last time you saw him at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
God, I
been
didn't
one
think
little
about
carpet with the paint. Yeah, and of course she has a taser. I'm guessing
This
80s
is
women.
stupid. No,
This
80s women did not carry tasers, for goodness sakes.
But she's a badass reporter, number one.
Yeah,
I don't like
every
it.
reporter's an
Yeah.
adventurer, right?
Oh. But I always think because it's obvious that she's not going to be able to shoot him. But she's going to shoot Jack. He's literally literally in front of him, and then of course she does. And I love this. It's a great picture. And of course she tases him. Yeah, it's to get to the next funny sequence. It is. So yeah, he gets carried off. It's just things, and then of course, what's going on? Why aren't you talking to me anymore? From today, and of course. Lucky enough, I don't know if this was his actual vehicle or he's actually. I think he's stolen.
No,
it, didn't he?
his vehicle got towed, and then he went over to his vehicle. It was being towed, so he just turned around and shoved him in the van.
Yeah,
and luckily this was a cooled van, an AC'd van, because the theme of the main villain is apparently that he just likes sub-zero temperatures or something. I couldn't really understand what his theme was. He just appreciates the cold. But lucky for his henchman, he got the perfect truck.
Yeah, and it's where are we? We're in a meat vodka, but I know you hear from Tux. Where are we? Yeah, and we're in a meat vodka. That would have to be extremely cold.
That's what I said. I'm like, dude, to be that cold that quick,
it
would have to be sub-zero.
Yeah. It did remind me of the truck in, is it Goodfellas?
With
oh yes,
Carbone, froze
Carbone. It did remind me, it's it did, but of course then we get introduced then straight away to our next villain,
another character. Yeah.
Dressed in all white. Oh,
see, too many
because every 80s villain
film
needs an all white suit.
He's a lawyer though, isn't he? In this, he's not.
Didn't really know what he was.
I'm sure they say he's he's a lawyer for the kind of in between man.
He's gonna buy the chip from or
selling it. No,
or is he selling
it?
I think he's
keep in mind, chat. We all just watched this movie. We have no idea how to answer this question.
Too many baddies in this film.
He's like I thought he was like the broker. He was getting the cowboy to get the cowboy, who's then going to do the broker to get the chip. It's just like, do you need? But then you've actually got your brain goes, but do I need to know? I don't need to know, and that's what the movie's actually set up. You just don't need to know. You don't need to know. This is a character we're introducing because we can introduce the character. And that's it. Because we need another funny bit for the funny bit. And that's it. So we get that. And then, of course, he's in the bar back. He's still cold as anything. And now we get back to we find out she's actually a doctor, the person who's stolen the other chip. And they're in leagues to go in. Lucky enough, I'm guessing, as Jay said, San Francisco is quite warm, but he managed to have this massive fur jacket. It was he expected
he's just
him to turn up.
He just wanted to be cold when it's not.
And they give him a blanket. Now the next actual scene, the next bit is it's actually really done really, really well. Yeah. Because actually, I was pausing and I showed pictures of Martin Short jumping out. Now, I don't know if he did some of his own stunts, but there's some bits, unless they got somebody who looked identical to him, there was parts of it. I was like, oh, that is really good. There was one bit, they blacked out the guy's face when you paused it. But when he actually gets, again, Dan said it, gets the balls to jump out the moving, go, go now.
Yeah, I did
Run!
like that little build up, especially when he had both voices talking at once, the villain and Jack's voice going at the same time, and just that voice winning out. I thought that was a well done little scene.
Yeah. But this whole next kind of driving sequence, of course, I forgot to say, like, hot journalist number one is like she's following as well. She's managed to follow. Don't know how. She just managed to. Got GPS tracker. Must have been back in the 87.
Well, because he just took him out of the restaurant, and she just
but then just followed him, but didn't try to stop him.
They also stopped somewhere though, because they had to meet up with the
outside the Golden Gate Bridge.
Switching to the truck. There's a whole little meeting that took place between there too.
I suppose it's supposed to show that she doesn't she still wants her writing piece. She doesn't want to get the police involved because it's a bit, this is where you would call the police, it's like to save him,
In fairness, I probably would have called the police if they told me that somebody was trapped inside their body in a miniature spacecraft. So if you came up to me telling me you were one of my old friends and that you were trapped in their body, I would be calling them pretty quick.
I'm calling the straitjacket. But yeah, this it's great. Like, I love this bit. Like the next picture, I think that looks like him.
Yeah. Apparently, he did do a lot of his stunts. Yeah. There was a stunt double, Stephen Lambert. Yeah. Apparently, but he did do a lot of his stunts.
Like, it's like some of it you got. Like, I was trying to work out, like, especially with this, I was like, how did he do that? Like, because the vehicle was moving, you can see like in the shot, but you can actually clearly see that is Martin Short. And I was like, I don't know, like maybe they sped it up slightly so it looked like the vehicle was going faster, but it's still very well done. It's still like a good little, like again, a good like practical effects. It looks better than some of the Fast and Furious things they do these days. That
fair enough, honestly. Yeah. Fair enough.
I was like,
pretty good stunt coordination on it, I would say.
Yeah, and of course, they get things, and of course, she takes him to the hotel where the cowboy's going to be. Not, should we take you somewhere nice? And like, she again puts him in danger. Like he's the key. They need the chip. They need both chips. They know they've got the chip, and the chip's inside Jack. And again, she takes him to find the cowboy who's going to be at this hotel.
I guess the clock is ticking, right? You got until 9 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah, maybe
for the oxygen or whatever.
So you have to do anything you can. So
and I just like I did this phone call bit. I don't get what it was, just to show that he liked white and pink. And I just had to show them. And they back up, and he's like, and they like, and then they pan out, and he's in like just in the corner of the warehouse. And I was like, I don't get it. I was like,
random.
Yeah, he's supposed to be flamboyant, like all in white, likes
that's your 80s villain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
great looking dog though. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Great looking dog.
Yeah, but so then we get the cowboy again. Now this is where he actually sings a song that he is not a cowboy. If you go back to it and listen to it, he's actually singing that he's not a cowboy from Texas, and he doesn't know how to be a cowboy, and he hasn't never ridden a steed or something like that. And I was like, so they actually play on the point that he's singing that he's actually in this game. Sandy's right. What accent? You can't.
I was so distracted by that. I didn't even listen to the lyrics, to be honest.
It's just like distracting. Yep.
It's supposed to be a comedy. It's supposed to be like a comedy thing. But I always like every time I just see the Doctor, and I'm guessing for Sandy, I just see the Doctor, and in Voyager, he plays it so a firm, I suppose, character. When he's in this, and he's being a bit quirky. I just can't take it. I'm like, no, because I know it. But
thing is, I can't see the Doctor in this character at all. Hair, mannerisms. There is nothing about Robert Picardo that I see in this character, which is so strange. And, whether it's this one or the Wells character with the hand, or the other now 2 or 3 villains that we have, and then the woman, it's too many villains. Yeah. And they all have their quirky, it's too much. Like 1 or 2, maybe 2 would have made sense. There's just too many of them.
No, I can't remember. Is it just now in between this scene and this scene? I never noticed something as a kid. So he's on the phone to the other doctor, isn't he? The female doctor who's got the things, and she's with our handyman.
I know what you're gonna say.
He's handy. He's handy. All right.
Did you notice it, Dan?
No.
He's got
one of his attachments
is a vibrator. He puts a vibrator.
I did not see that.
You see the shape of it. And you're like, is that what I think it is? And then
but it makes the noise, doesn't it? And then she just does this little smirk because she's really she's highly her character is just highly sexualized in this whole she's really likes a bit. And that's it. But you hear it go, and I was like, I never noticed that as a kid. And I bet all the adults were like, but yeah, it was just it made me giggle because I was like, I never ever saw that. And yeah, it was just
very fast. It's very fast.
Was it? I don't know.
No, I
mean, so my question is, how did Dan pick up on Dennis Quaid's shadow, but not this point?
Right. So
he was looking for
it in 0.05 speed, and the rest of the film.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
But yeah, it's smooth. Yeah, thing. So we find out sexy journalist number 1 is they've got a room literally attached. She's given $100 to the bellboy or something, or the porter, to get the room adjacent, right on. So they're listening to him having his little sing along to himself, whilst we find out that he loves going to the bar, the Inferno. Was it called the Inferno? Likes dancing at the bar for Inferno.
Was it Infirmary? I forget what they call it.
Something like that.
I think it's the Inferno. Yeah.
So he has these little things. I had to bring up this. This is what I did. It was just there because they were like, "That's funny."
I don't even think
somebody did it once.
I don't think I noticed that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was literally so just behind this bit is where in the supermarket, the cashier, the female cashier that's kind of like being rude to him. She's in this and she's dressed up in the 80s, everything, hair up, but she comes out from the side piece of this like to have a dance with him because how you've been leading a double life, because she doesn't expect him to be there. He's changed into Tuck's clothes that 2 sizes too big for him. And of course, whilst they're slapping the cowboy.
I didn't even realize till you just said it that this was Wendy. Somehow, it didn't click to me. I don't know if it was just the hair.
No, Wendy comes out. Wendy comes out from this. She's behind this one. So she's
but the girl he meets in the club, that's Wendy, right?
Yes.
See, I didn't even realize that was Wendy. This it just didn't even occur to me. I just thought it was a random person. So that at least makes it make more sense to me.
Yeah. So and then of course they have a little dance. She pulls him in, and he does even the lasso move. I'm like, oh, like that, and was it? And it's she's having to play she's got, he's a bit of she likes a bit of the cowboy, and it was like, I had sex with my boots on, and he whispers something into her, and he's just a look of just and then you're like, what was it? What did he say? Yeah, it's just like, what did he say? Because she's like, oh, vomiting. Of course, then they all decide we're gonna have to leave. So she leaves with the cowboy. He's a bit behind, and of course, Tuck said, "Go in. You got to stop this." Like that, because he thinks that she's I suppose getting her journalism. Make sure she's with him. So he kind of boots down the door. And he's he's just pops the champagne. Hey, come in! Don't worry about knocking. And what does he do? Going with Tuck in his ear, knocks him out like that. And it's they tie him up, and this is where the movie gets very silly. Let's say that. Of course. So, now, to be honest, when I watched it, I did pick up on that the scientist at the beginning did say, do you want to do the facial recognition thing again, or wear the facial transformation again? And he said, no, it hurt too much. So right at the beginning, I went back and actually listened to it. So this was actually set up at the beginning of the movie before he grabbed and kissed the other scientist. He just says it then. There's a point where he just says, and he goes, no, I'm not doing that. So of course, go close. I've got a manual. I've got it written down how to do this because, well, yeah, he's not a site. And there was it the facial transformation, whatever it's called. And yeah,
this is your 80s goofball comedy right here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Did they just use like a hairdryer? But his hair doesn't move.
Possibly like a little trying to think of those little cans of compressed air rather. You could just kind of blow them very specifically, very precisely.
Oh yeah, maybe like a tire blower or something like
that.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, even just a general air compressor that's got a very precise stream of air.
It was good. Dan's gonna. What have you noticed?
No, where's his teeth?
He's got terrible teeth.
I guess he's got a bit of an overbite then. So it looks like a lot of gum on the bottom.
Looks like he's got small teeth. Ooh, yeah.
That's what we noticed.
Just very bizarre.
No shadow and the teeth. But yeah, very so his transformation after doing a very
I was trying like is this Martin Short still? I'm really confused.
No, it's the doctor. It's what's his name? Robert.
But with Martin Short's hair.
Yeah, but with his hair.
See, it's the hair again. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's better than glasses for disguise. The hair just throws people off.
Like, how did they do that? That's really clever.
It's a really good sync on the voice and the mouth.
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, you can hear my voice." I was like, "Yeah, I can." How was your face? That was good. I like that.
Yeah. So at that same time, of course, our second baddie, and I can't remember his name. Who he's got the beautiful dog.
Oh God!
Has called the cowboy to the meeting, and so whatever. I can't remember what actually is his name. Does anybody remember?
I don't know. It's like something with an S. Scam something. Hold on,
can't remember. But yeah, they're all sitting down.
Scrimshaw. Yep, that's what it is. Victor Scrimshaw.
That's Victor Scrimshaw. That's a Bond bad, isn't it? So of course he's got the chip, and they're after the washer.
It really does just look like a little part to something. A little gear.
Does. It's literally
like a Lego wheel.
One of their things.
A Lego wheel,
some kid was crying, was like, I can't get this machine to work. Oh, was it? We had in the 80s, you had the Meccano. That's it. Yes, it's a Meccano piece, isn't it? Yeah. But of course, Martin Short as the cowboy is not playing the cowboy role that well. He's trying to be a little bit of a tough guy without being tough guy. He's being a bit odd, and they kind of catch on that he doesn't remember bits of the past that's actually happened to him. So, but of course, one of the cowboy's main tricks is he bless you. Oh, bless you. There you go. Couldn't hear it, but there you go.
Bless you.
See that. He's high tolerance to pain, and of course, lucky he didn't have this on the previous scene.
It's a VGA. Is that a VGA port right there?
It is. That does look like a VGA.
Oh my God! Yes, it is.
Nice notice there.
Oh my God!
They just used whatever the hell they had to make it look futuristic.
That's it, but it worked.
Wow. Yeah.
And of course, Martin Short's character gets in panic mode. And this reminded me of the scene out of Total Recall. I
was going to say that totally. It's the same. It's the same for sure.
Yeah. What year was Total Recall? That's it's an 80s, isn't it?
I want to say before this. This was what, 87?
87, yeah.
1990 total
1990.
Wow, really?
There you go. So yeah, but I wonder if they did use that same bit. But that looks like the Total Recall one, whereas this looks like a hairdryer kind of thing. That is really bad CGI. You know, like that is actually one of the first tried to do it. But this again, it's like kind of like it's Jim Carrey. I kind of got where a lot of these scenes come from, like the mouth movements and stuff like that from this movie. Of course,
and that's something with Martin Short too, where he's a very physical comedy kind of guy. So
yeah,
they do that a bit.
Yeah, but again, it's just for the humor. This bit is to get the transformation back to Martin Short's Jack's character. Of course, then they're all like, you all panicking like that. Don't do this. We're sorry. And then they're like,
really
it's you. Yeah, not like a reaction of what is going on. So this bit, they then capture him, put him into a basement because this guy has this really underground kind of dusty basement that hasn't got anything in, just in case we need to hold somebody.
Just in case the villain needs prisoners.
So they kind of get into a talking session between, I suppose, the three of them, and then Jack is kind of like he's fallen for her in a way, hasn't he? So he's like that, and he asks, look, can you turn off the hearing, and can you turn off the eye contact, the visual. Now this bit is the bit I do have a problem with within the movie. This is the bit I didn't get. Is it because the kissing is, how did he get there?
The kissing.
Because he's gonna have to, but he's not gonna be like,
he was like,
you don't bring up that much saliva from your inside,
movie
do you?
Magic, Stasis,
right.
Movie
but
magic.
also, like, if you could transform this easily, why wouldn't you just spit him into a container and bring him to the lab and get him out?
Well, we do later.
Why would you keep him inside of you this entire
Yep.
time? You just spit him into a little Tupperware if you needed to, and just carry him to the lab.
Yeah, it's
Very
Too many questions. Movie magic.
Too much logic. Too much logic. We got to move on.
Yeah. So whilst we're getting that, we're going to take you to the laboratory B where the baddies are. So they're panicking, and now Tuck's going, hi, what's going on? I can't hear you, can't see you, what's going on? So he's trying to work out where he is whilst we get to the laboratory, this new blue shiny laboratory, and then we kind of get what Dan's scared of. So Dan, are you going to be okay with the next picture?
Sure. But I got a question. Why is the baddie better funded than the government?
Good question.
Or are they both the same?
Depends on who you define as the baddie. That's right. That's right.
Oh, wow. Touche.
How have they got better equipment? They haven't got like piles of paper like all over.
Better security too. That's for sure.
Silicon Valley always has more resources than the government does, because they just do. That's why the government hires Silicon Valley, or tries to.
Hold it. When was Elon Musk born? When was Elon Musk born? Yeah, he's the baddie. But yeah, we get this, and I must say, I do get the sentiment of that. That is actually having that inside. Like, it's a scary thing. Like, as a kid, I remembered like this, and I was like, oh, that, like, just the clampers and the claw like that. It's like, it's there for destruction. It's not it doesn't look like the other pod is more scientifically built. This looks like it's there to cause harm, and it is. Like, they're going to take our baddie into Martin Schultz, whilst again Tuck is a bit blind, everything's dark, it doesn't know what's going on, and of course we get the man who doesn't say anything but has very good adapters gets into the machine now, and then of course Tuck is going around Meg Ryan, trying to wander around, doesn't know where he is, and then he stumbles across something. The creepiest baby ever.
Creepy.
Creepy baby.
Yeah, it's very something. It's like something out of Space Odyssey. It is very much. It's like that end bit with the baby. It's a bit odd, but yeah, but then he's really happy. He's like, oh, and it's the first time you kind of get non-cocky emotion out of him, I suppose, in the movie. Previously to this, he's a
very trusting guy. He assumes it's his.
It's like I'm going to be his dad.
Like,
think that it's his.
Hold it. Have we not been together 2 months? The size, that's it. Yeah, it must be mine.
Okay.
Yeah. So whilst this is happening, of course, Meg Ryan, like this bit set up before this bit, we're sure she gets away. That she goes to grab her purse, I suppose you want to call it, or and they never searched it in the first place. Or search their person to find out there was something in it, and he puts his hand onto it and sets off the trigger of the
taser,
and tases himself. And then, of course, this is now where she gets to the point. I better call the police or call for help.
Finally.
She doesn't call the police. She calls one of her workmates, who then calls the kind of I suppose go to ex-military
she gives the guy like 10 instructions. Call this person, then call that person, then do this, then do that. Good Lord.
So I was a little bit confused up to this point.
After this point?
This is one of the next times I was confused. So obviously, they have the technology to shrink the guy with the detachable hand down to be able to go inside Martin Short as well. What the hell do they need the chip that Tuck's character has?
Why? Because it's one to get big,
one to get small.
Because they do say when Jack is on the thing, when they shoot, they're about to. This bit here is where they explain if we're putting him inside it, and he explains to her, or like vice versa. If we can't get the chip, we're just get him out inside of him. He's like that without it. So they can't do it in a certain way without the other chip, isn't it? I can't remember how they explain, but they do roughly explain why they need both in a very.
I must have missed it because I was very confused. I thought both chips were for shrinking and growing. I didn't realize I was incredibly confused at this point.
No, one is in the component, isn't it? What is in there? They talk to each other. So the only way he can get back is to destroy Tuck's machine and take his chip, and then he can grow. So it's the other component within the other machine that has been shrunk that can make the other one grow. But you need both. So everything can be shrunk because they've got it in the computer, but they can't grow. It's a bit. Don't think
interesting.
But it's on this. They say that, and then of course, Meg Ryan comes to save the day. And then get into the I'm going to call it the shrinkalizer. I don't know what whatever this machine is. I don't know. It's just a bit. It's again. And they play around again. It's a goofball moment to kind of make them into Oompa Loompas, and you think the dial kind of goes scrolling down 50%. And whilst they're playing, they're getting the things out. I think one of them hits it with their elbow, don't they? Oh, stop. And this is the bit where you said earlier, Dan, that he comes across another when they're escaping. Another baddie. And he's like, don't worry, Tuck will get me. Duck, make me stronger.
Oh, yeah.
This is it. Yeah. And this is the bit where he's he takes on the perpetrator. Really, we know, he doesn't know as the viewer, he does it all by himself. And then of course, I don't know how this bit is because he says, oh wait, I've not been hearing Tuck's voice, but then she realizes, oh, it's because we're kissed, he's inside of me.
Well, no, so she was hearing the music, so he was playing the music, their song in her head, and she was like, oh, do you hear that music? And then they didn't really realize what was going on. And then they went down the stairs, and then he beat up the guy on the stairs, thinking that Tuck had helped him, made him stronger, realized that he hadn't, then realized that he could do it by himself, and then went in for another one. So that was like a turning point for Jack there. That was like Jack realizing, oh, actually, I don't need him in me to be this superhero now. I can do it.
The power was within him the whole time. It's actually a really nice message when you think about it.
Yeah, you don't need anybody else. It's got a subtle, I suppose. Yeah,
like it is very subtle. It's a good pickup on it, because to be honest, I didn't even catch that messaging just because I was still trying to figure out what the hell was going on in general. So it kind of went right by me.
And so they have the idea, let's kiss again, because he's going to be there. He's going to be exactly where he needs to be to share, because movie magic, we don't want to explain it. We go things. So, of course, he gets shot the other way once again. And he's back inside Jack. Whilst they're driving along, they now escape. And we get our little bit of a scene up to this.
This is not so good special effects here. Let's just
say it
what it is. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's been seeing on social a little bit. There's people like hairdressers put silly things, and they use little combs and big combs, and then they have little hands and they do like people's hair, and they like these little plastic hands. And this is what this scene reminded me of. It's like I've been seeing it on like social, people posting it, like, and it is literally their little hands are literally little plastic hands. It's a little bit. It's again, it's supposed to be funny. They're shrunken down 50%. Why not show it? Yeah, it's funny, but of course
those hands would have been a reason to not show it.
It is, but like you look at it, you look back at the arms are so funny. But yeah, whilst that's happening, of course, inside the dark sphere, we've got our baddie has come across, and he's actually now. I'm guessing if you're this small, again, the human body is quite big. Now I'm guessing there was a way he could track. I'm guessing so.
He was tracking. Well, I'm sure there's a homing device of some sort. Of course.
Was it? Yeah.
I just still feel like Dan pointed out earlier, the size just isn't consistent throughout this movie, because at this point they look like, again, they're a size of food, like, because there's little pieces of food floating around in the stomach acid too.
Yeah.
So like they look like they'd be about the size of a bite of food, yet they have to be microscopic to actually be there. So they just still like didn't quite get the scaling right.
They could have done that, but they could have fixed that by saying instead of he's running out of oxygen, he will slowly grow.
Yeah.
But the compression would have killed him.
Right. Yeah. And obviously it would have killed Martin Short's character too. So like they both are on the clock type of thing. It would have made more sense in just a plot. Again, like a movie like this, you don't need solid sound, A to Z logic. No. It's a goofy movie, but you could do slightly more logic, like something like that, just to make it all make more sense and deal with issues that you would run into, like how do we keep the size comparison or the scale, in comparison the whole movie.
Yeah. So yeah, they're now locked in. I have to agree with Dan. This was scary as a kid. I don't know what it is. It was just, it's a bit haunted
the bit was when he lost the outer shell bit and then went up and was like drilling into the screen, like his that was the bit that just freaked me out as a kid.
We got Lynn. Jack is hyperventilating. The other officer has come along, managed to find him in the middle of a street in San Francisco. Must be a really small city because he just manages to find them.
Tiny, obviously. Tiny, just like the human body.
Well, everybody,
America is
human body.
Anybody,
Meg Ryan chasing the ice truck. It's just, it's very easy to find.
I've heard your states are really, really small.
Oh yeah, you didn't know that about America?
Skip across them in a day.
But we get that, and then of course we get he comes out. He's of the things like the ejection pod. They're now in the stomach area, the boiling thing, and of course he's drilling through. And it's literally, I need some stomach acid. And how he gets him is to tell him he's got a tumor. I found something in here. You might need to get it checked out. Yeah, it is again, but it's him knowing again he's who is inside. He's not a hero, but I can freak you out. I'm getting like, oh, that's it. My ulcer's gone, and of course shoots up. And our baddie, he dies. He gets dissolved in stomach acid.
Now, why doesn't Dennis Quaid's vehicle also?
Because he's not in the vehicle at this point, is it?
No.
Because he's escaped. He's in he's an escape suit. He's not in the capsule. So I'm guessing the capsule itself is, both of them are some kind of material that stomach acid.
Interesting.
It's made out of the same thing that bottles are made out of that contain acid. Yeah, they don't.
That's more logic than the movie gave us, so fair enough.
Yeah. And now this is it. So they're now heading back to the laboratory. They have both chips now, and of course our 50% people gotta make a phone call.
50% people.
Literally, I love this. Like, I'm guessing they just built a big.
Must have done. Yeah, must have done.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah.
And the thing is, I would love to have this just because it's so silly. It's just like, it just imagine having like a what is that?
I'll bet someone does. I'll bet someone does if that was a practical piece.
Oh, and look at that. That's a phone. That's a how to make a call. So he's like, yeah, we need to find them. What's going on? Kind of. It's a nonsense little piece. It's there because somebody built that phone booth and they needed to have a
just for this scene.
Yeah, it's not needed.
Worth it.
It's not
no.
needed.
I'd love to know what that cost in the budget, and just look the producer looking over it like, man, you really need this for this one scene, huh?
Yeah, and they'd be like, yes, we do. Why? Because it'll be funny and stupid. Why? Because the movie so far hasn't been funny and stupid. It's literally, it's literally like, we've got it, we're using it. I don't care what you say. It's like that. So but yeah, they go back. We get a warning again that the oxygen is running out. It's the reserves are depleted. He has to go on to a own oxygen mask whilst they're rushing to get him out. And of course, we get now a logic of how we get earlier that he sneezes when he gets hairspray. So he sneezes like Dan was doing earlier. So, and that's it. But lucky enough, Dan actually covered his mouth and not do this.
now here's where if we hadn't lost all reality before this point in the film, he's been sneezed out onto glass. Ouch.
Yeah.
You know, why wasn't he crushed? Why wasn't he smashed like a pancake when he hit that? You know, think about
the force of a sneeze,
running into a glass door accidentally, running into a revolving door.
What would they have done if he didn't land on the?
What if he just just had to search
he had to
the
go
whole
somewhere
room
where they could find him? Yeah, I hear you, but
I lost the screw to my glasses the other day and I couldn't find it, for Christ's sake. Never mind a microscopic spacecraft.
But that's it, because he goes to wipe it and they're like, no, wait. It's like that because it's there. So they managed to get him on a petri dish, don't they, really, into the things. And then what the fuck was this?
It's like they had to solve a riddle from Alice
in Wonderland.
No, originally it was from The Exorcist.
No.
He does say it, isn't he? He does actually say it in the movie. He goes, it's from The Exorcist. Oh, Alice in Wonderland. It's like, okay.
Why would scientists program this into their bloody machine?
Yeah, to make sure they've
weird.
to make sure. Yeah, just to make sure they're cultured. They've read a book.
You just need a bigger and a little button. That's all.
Yeah. But I love it because they don't have a scientific coding system. It's 1 or 2. That's it. That's how easy it is.
What if they got it wrong? Would it got even smaller?
I guess so. Yeah, it's become into go on, Jay. What's it called in that, man, when they go
quantum realm,
quantum realm,
subatomic, or whatever the hell they call it? I can't even remember.
It was a Marvel setup. They just missed out. It could have been a Marvel setup.
Well, you're right. It was kind of the first Ant-Man when you think of it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, it wasn't needed, but yeah, they rush him in, put the blinds on. We get some great, again, I had to put this in the computer graphics. It's just it's and they rescue him out. He's left there. They managed to pull him out to safety, and everybody has a nice home welcomes hug. And the best thing you want is when you've been depleted of oxygen, have a cigar. First thing I think of, really bad, I need some oxygen. This is what you need. You need a cigar.
Be crowded by a bunch of people and have a cigar.
Yeah. Now the next scene is probably the most unbelievable bit of the scene, that they get married. Why would she ever marry him? He's been an arse. Right? He's a bit of a thing. Even though she was married to his kid, I'm not been horrible, but she's probably better as a single mum. He's a bit like he hasn't changed. He was just in Martin Shaw. It's like, it's again, it's supposed to be just a happy ending. It's a happy ending.
I have to wonder that somewhere buried in this film was the hope that by teaming up this unlikely pair, that Tuck had made Jack a better person, and somehow Jack had made Tuck a better person. Yeah. But they really didn't give, they didn't really highlight the things that, maybe Jack would say something kind or do something nice for someone that would resonate with Tuck, but none of that happened. So I agree. I don't know. This doesn't make sense, but I think that was a missed opportunity to have Tuck learn a little bit about being Jack.
There was another 1987 movie that did it very, very well. They had a plane in it, had a train in it.
Oh yeah, planes, trains, and automobiles. Absolutely.
Yeah, they rub off with each other. They do it in a very way. Is like one becomes better person for being in the company of the person they think they don't like, and vice versa. They like that, and they don't play on that. But this isn't supposed to be that clever comedy. It's not supposed to be a clever comedy.
You do almost wonder a little bit, though, was that maybe something that was somewhat in it and edited out? Because it's a really good point, Sandy, that it not only would have worked storytelling, it seems like it was the logical route, but it also would have made Tuck's character a lot more likable.
Yeah.
And maybe that's more believable that he ends up in this spot. If he just learns some, one learns confidence, the other one learns humility. And it would have made for something good. I wonder if it just got cut out, or like Stacey said, maybe they just didn't even think of that. It never even made it in.
But yeah, maybe they did try to, like with the drunk scene. They had more of that kind, because that's the real time they actually
where they're just talking guy to guy, person to person.
Yeah. We're in this situation. What can we do? But they're having, a drunk. There's no other point in this movie where you get them actually just having a narrative between each other. It's literally just to get to the next bit. But so this is happening. The wedding's over. We get them go to the car, and who is their limo driver?
Batty.
It's the cowboy. And how he's so obvious that you would recognize him straight away. Like that. And it's like they go off in the little. We have our 50% people literally in the suitcase. Now, even if I was 50% lower, I wouldn't fit in a suitcase. I had to be still a big suitcase.
Again, the size scale is just not accurate.
Yeah, I guarantee a lot of people will use that as a weight loss drug, though.
Nowadays.
So we get that, and of course he gives the cowboy the bit of money, and
he would have to have noticed that it's the cowboy.
And he notices terrible picture of this one, but he kind of thinks whilst the doctors go, everybody around him's like, come and see me tomorrow, we get you on some new pills, I'm not ill. Wendy has got, hey, we should try dating. You've got no chance. And then even the boss is like, come back to the store, it's another coupon day or whatever it is tomorrow. And he's just like, thank you very much, but I quit. And he's got, again, this is where it's probably we kind of missed it previously, but you're right, it's trying to show Tuck's rubbed off on him. He's a better man now, and he jumps into the red Mustang, shoots off. and he's chasing down for the next adventure. I'm going to save the day.
How good does he look in that tux? Like, with the
That's good. Looks like James Bond. Maybe they was going to be played. Maybe he could still be. Maybe he's going to be in the next James Bond. Maybe Amazon are going to pitch Martin Short. That'd be good. That'd be just literally just go for it. Just go for it. You make loads of money. But yeah,
hilarious.
End of movie.
Woo!
That's it.
Can I bring up my little notes page?
You can indeed.
You mentioned something that so you mentioned planes, trains, and automobiles. And one of the things I wanted to share. So last week we talked about the Saturday Night Live crew, right? We talked about Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, the late John Belushi, and many others from Saturday Night Live. This is the SCTV crew. So I don't know if folks from around the world know that the competition to Saturday Night Live was Second City Television, which the second city is Chicago. So all the Chicago comedy clubs and comedy greats created their own variety show on Saturday nights called SCTV, and that's where Martin Short, Steve Martin come from. Also, John Candy comes from Second City. So you mentioned planes, trains.
So they had more Canadians, I'm guessing.
Yeah, they did, and I guess it's that Chicago, proximity. But there are other Second City alum in the film. So Joe Flaherty and Andrea Martin are just kind of in the background in the supermarket. But you can also, if you've ever watched, I didn't really watch it. I think I only watched it for like a year before it was over by the time I got old enough to watch it. But you could kind of pluck out other Second City folks in the background. Also, Chuck Jones, legendary Looney Tunes cartoonist, the person who drew Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and all of them, is also in the supermarket scene, as is Rance Howard, who is the father of Ron Howard. So there's all these little quirky people in the background of this film, which is typical of all of the quote Saturday Night Live and SCTV and even the National Lampoon type films, right? They've always got these people kind of scurrying in the background that you have to look for. This one was not a book, so I didn't have to read a book for this one. It was an original screenplay from Jeffrey Boehm and Chip Proser. It was released in 1987, and you'll see my note here, with a strong ad campaign promoting video purchase and rentals. So, to your point about remembering this as a blockbuster film, there was a big campaign, and that when we get to the numbers slide, you'll see that probably in some way saved the profitability for the film, because the film was made for, let me share my next screen. So this film was made for a budget back in 1987 of $27 million, which was a lot back then. And it was for the special effects, obviously. That's $77 million today. And I know that doesn't sound like a lot today, but movie budgets have bloated today far beyond what we would call inflation. It made 94.9. It says box office there, but that's really total sales. That includes the video rental and video release. So it was a success, but the video release and video purchase makes up 30 million of that.
Wow.
So really it only made like 64 million at the time, which would be like 270 million total today. It won an Oscar. This goofy film won the Oscar. Okay, so for all those films in 1987, at the 1988 Oscars, when we go through that long list, I guess there weren't many with special effects, because this one for visual effects, it was a good year. It was the 43rd top grossing film. I didn't say top, because when you're 43rd, is that really in the top? 43rd grossing film of 1987, the top 5. Now, we always have a little serendipity between Film Club. Last week when we reported on Ghostbusters and we said the #1 top grossing film that year was Beverly Hills Cop for 1984. Well, for this one, Beverly Hills Cop 2 was the top grossing film of 1987. Again, that huge draw for Eddie Murphy. He also had another top 10, which was his straight to video Raw.
Yeah.
Now, I am really dating myself here because I was kid-ish in 1987. The older kids in my neighborhood were quoting Raw. Like they could do the whole skits, and they were really like things that, a wee one like me shouldn't have been hearing. But all the older kids, all the babysitters in the neighborhood were quoting the silliness of Eddie Murphy's Raw. So he was just huge. And then and then Platoon, Fatal Attraction, The Untouchables, 3 Men and a Baby. Every single one of these films, I can honestly remember at the video store, like seeing them, on the shelves at the video store. So, and James, you had mentioned some other films on the list.
The list was ridiculous.
It was unbelievable.
Now I'm gonna say this one because I'm sure I'm gonna do it on this because if I put it on this one, it goes things. Now I know there's one movie that Dan doesn't like. We could have discussion on this one, but was it Full Metal Jacket, The Princess Bride, Dan?
I didn't mind that film. It was just a bit.
Oh, didn't mind it.
I've actually still never seen The Princess Bride. I've never been interested. It doesn't seem interesting to me, so I've never gotten around to it. I know everybody from the 80s loves it and all that.
Everybody likes it, not just 80s. It's awesome.
It's the prototype for every damsel in distress, for every side.
Sub from Dan.
I do plan. It's got to be on our list, right? Because I was gonna say I do plan on watching it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it there.
Okay, so at some point I will be watching it, and I'll probably wait for the first watch to be specifically for a film club. But I've never been that interested in getting around to it.
I reckon if you watched it in the 80s or 90s or whatever, or watched it when you were super young, then yeah, it would have been great. But watching it now, today, it doesn't stand up.
See, I think it's even better now. I think it's even better now because thank you, Jade. It reinforces everything about what, like the themes that resonate with us, those of us who love.
Comes in, she listens, don't she? She listens.
She's always listening, Stacey. You got to watch out.
Everything about sci-fi, fantasy, romance, family. Remember the story, and please watch James's recommendations for sci-fi and fantasy, because we talk about Princess Bride in that recommendation. But the story itself is wrapped in a story. It's a grandpa reading a book to his sick grandson. And so for the story itself is amazing. But then when you, at the very end, when you realize and you remember that this is a granddad telling a story to his son, and when I'm not going to spoil it, but As You Wish means something really important, and it gets me in the feels every single time. So you people who don't like this film, you need to really take a look at yourself in the mirror.
Can I just say, Highlander, have you changed?
Oh, we got a Highlander-Sandy agreement. That's rare.
Somebody's hacked him.
I don't know if that's Highlander.
Yeah. As You Wish.
Someone check on him.
As You Wish. Yeah, just great. It's great. But yeah, back from that, With Now and I believe, Sandy, you put that on the list.
Love With Now and I.
Then we got some great ones.
What a piece of work is man.
Yeah, Dirty Dancing, Predator, Spaceballs, RoboCop, The Lost Boys. Unfortunately, we did put Jaws: The Revenge, The Untouchables, of course, Masters of the Universe, Emperor of the Sun, Wall Street, Angel Heart, Trains and Automobiles, The Last Emperor, Evil Dead 2, La Bamba, Good Morning Vietnam, The Witches of Eastwick, Batteries Not Included, The Secret to My Success, Stakeout, Innerspace, and I also put there Bad Taste, because that was the first movie by Peter Jackson that went on to make Lord of the Rings. So yeah, that is a list. That is great. And I think we've said it previously in so many films.
Did you say Lethal Weapon?
No, Miss Lethal Weapon. The list was so
was that year too.
Yeah. So yeah, like if you like, we've said it so many times now, and Dan probably agrees because you've got like an age of family that should be going to the cinema. Is now you used to be able to go to the cinema. Look at that list. You're going to pick a good movie.
You didn't have to plan. You could just go. You could show up and see a good film.
Yeah, or even more so, you didn't have to wait. You didn't have to wait months for something you actually want to see. Coming out to go. There was always something.
Yeah, and that like that. Look at the range you have. Like, yeah, you have adult ones there, but you have family movies in there. You have like snuggle up movies, and you just have some wins. You just have really good wins. Like every like Dirty Dancing on there became a phenomenon. It's just literally, people thought, what was that? Look at that. People, have like true movie nights, and like a lot of them, go on to like Broadway, or musicals, and the
soundtracks. I played that Dirty Dancing soundtrack. My entire family.
So does Dan.
Loved that soundtrack, and La Bamba too. We had that whole soundtrack from La Bamba. Like,
I've got that on the list. Yeah. But yeah, it's just showing that that it's not just the 80s. It's just like that is what like you could do like twice a month easily. You're going to pick a winner, like that. Yeah, it's going to be some really bad ones on anybody's. If you're unlucky, but you could just turn up. You could just turn up, and now you just can't. We've said it many a times. It's things, but let's go. Now, I'm going to start. Now, Dan, you did have seen this. So we got 3 against the 1. So, Jay, I'm going to leave you to last.
Okay.
Oh, your little review. Sandy, I'm going to start with you. Ladies first. Sandy gone? Sandy here?
We
Oops,
may have
I'm so
lost
sorry.
Sandy. Oh, there we go.
What happened?
I'm here. I did kind of talk about the story that I thought was missed. That it would have rounded out the story to have, Jack, we know, learned from Tuck. It would have rounded out the story to have Tuck learn something from Jack. And if he did, we just didn't see it. I think the story is confusing because of the number of baddies. And I think as a young person, I did not see this in the movies. I'm sure I saw it on videotape or on television. I think, you're just kind of looking at the special effects. You're looking at the facial goofballness, you're looking at the chase scenes, and it's an enjoyable film. Even now, I could sit down and watch this film. Would I seek it out to watch it? No. It doesn't have that kind of sentimentality with me. I just think it's not something that really stays with you because it was so confusing. Even as an adult watching it again, I'm still confused slightly at the story, and there's just too many bad guys in the film. I give it a 4.5. I do think there are some good performances here. Unfortunately, I think Meg Ryan is, I know we say this all the time and it's becoming cliche with me, but Meg Ryan is playing Meg Ryan. And, her pointing a taser / gun, whatever, at whomever, that was a little tired. I thought Martin Short put in a really good performance, as did Dennis Quaid for the limited range of the performance that he had. I do think the gentleman who played the chief scientist put in a really good performance as well. So a few of those highlights. And yes, let's give it some credit for being 1987 and the visual effects that it did use as recognized with an Oscar. So 4.5 from me. Is it a recommend? Not a strong recommend. If it's on TV and there's nothing else on, yep, sit down and watch it. But I wouldn't make time to go out of my way to watch this film.
But would you recommend it for somebody in their teens?
Probably, yeah, as a space filler. But you know what? There's a lot of other films that I would recommend ahead of this for sure. Yeah.
Dan, as our special guest, what are you thinking?
So, like, this film had a special place in my heart. I really enjoyed it as a teenager or a kid or whatever, whenever I watched it, because it freaked me out. It made a big impression on me. But watching it back, it might have been because I was watching it at 2 times speed to try and get it done before I came on here. But I'm not sure that was the problem with it. I don't know, but it was very much of its age, and that's part of its charm, I guess. The graphics and the visual effects was really good, like the platelets and whatever, the the red, what they called it, red
blood cells,
and all that sort of thing. That's probably why it won the Oscar, right? Martin Short was great. Yeah, I wouldn't watch it again now. It's done for me. It's off my list. It's like
off the list.
Like, oh yeah, great film. Oh yeah, Really like that. No, whatever.
And your score, if you had to score it,
Hey,
out of 10.
Out of 10, 6.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this like it's a weird one because I think I'm in the same sentiment. You remember it as a kid, and you remember things. I remember Never-Ending Story. I adored that as a kid, and it came on TV years ago, and I was like, oh, I've not seen this forever. Oh, I loved it. Sat down, and I was like, oh, that doesn't hold up. But you have to still put it
not
as like,
hold up. Nope.
No. And this one, does it hold up? I think it does in a way that you don't have to. You're not expecting a non-silly comedy because it sets up that it's supposed to be silly. There are moments in it that are supposed to be goofy and things like that. Like the acting, they're just doing their roles. They're doing what they're not going above and beyond. I think they're literally, that's it. It's not that kind of movie. Remember what you're playing here, guys. And that's it. How the pacing of it, it's fine. I think the pacing is good for that kind of movie. I think if they wanted to make it darker, it would have been completely different tone. It's supposed to get you to that Martin Short. It's supposed to get you to that character, and having Dennis Quaid in his voice, just having a little bit of fun. It's there to be. I think it's one of those. It's a great, I suppose, before the main show one. You'll be fine if somebody went, we're going to watch this as our matinee and then go on to the main movie. It's one of those ones that you have an 80s or a movie that you thought you liked and you go, that was dreadful. It is what it is. And that's the thing. It's not offensive. It doesn't make you go, oh, that's horrid. Why did I recommend that? I think it just sits in that middle of the road. It's 80s. It's got 80s stamped onto it. But let's say the visual effects is really well done. It's a one that you could sit down with, a young teen and go, you're going to like this. It's a bit quirky. It's from the 80s, like Mannequin or something like that. You're just gonna like it. And it is. There's so many of those ones that that are on your little list and that you've watched and you kind of remember getting it. Yeah, it's not offensive. Is it great? No, by far, it's not. But it doesn't expect to be great. It's not like those comedies that are supposed to be, really good ones. Again, I would probably give it a 6. Yeah. And I mean, that's some things just because of what I remember it being. And again, it's probably a lot of that. I really just adored it as a kid. And I probably watched it many times, pissing off the parents, watching it. There's one of those ones. I just liked it. I think, the characters on it are the characters. It's supposed to be a little bit of silly. And it is a little bit silly and it makes you smile. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, I would recommend it. I would probably recommend it, not for an adult. You're not going to be this is one of you, 12 Years a Slave. Don't watch that. Innerspace. But it is. If you're going to be you got kids, it's one of the ones, tick it off for them to watch. They like it or they hate it. It's a little bit of fun. Yeah, so that's mine. But Jay, first time, this is going to be interesting. Go.
Yeah, so this is a first time watch, obviously, for me. And I obviously have no nostalgic background to it, but I immediately can kind of understand what you guys mean by that. Because for me, my version of this would have been the Rick Moranis Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids movies. I think it was just those two. I don't know if there's any more. But I used to love those as a kid. And my memories of them now are it was good. The effects were great. It was funny, the whole deal. I'd love to rewatch it. And I don't know that if I watched it now, it would really hold up the way I remember it. It may. There's a good chance that it may, but I just don't think that it would. It does. So I can. Fair enough. But regardless if it does or doesn't, I can totally understand that kind of nostalgic memory of it, and just even having that feeling when you watch it again. But for me, because I don't have that nostalgia with this, it just fell short. I just thought it was a little bit of a mess. Like you said, these movies, these wacky 80s, 90s comedies, sci-fi action ones, whatever they are, they're not written to be under the Oscar microscope. And nobody's trying to put them under that. But I think, even just here as we're chatting about it, between Sandy's point about potentially both characters rubbing off on one another, or the logic we applied to the idea of what they could have maybe done for the size scaling problem that they had and kind of coming up with something a little bit better on the spot. I do think even in the realm of movies that don't require stronger writing, this one could have had a little bit better to smooth out some of those too obvious kind of like, that doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense kind of moments. Acting wise, fine. You know, I don't think anybody, like you said, nobody's going above and beyond trying to win an award for this. I think Martin Short is Martin Short, which is always enjoyable. I grew up watching movies with him and all that. So, you know, him, his physical comedy, his over-the-top screaming and drama, all that kind of thing is always pretty funny. Dennis Quaid's character, I didn't like. It was just a little bit much in the arrogant side sometimes, and a little, I don't know, just a little overdone. Like even the drunk scene at the beginning, just a little bit overacted. But there were moments when it's just him kind of giving instructions and kind of being like the army trained person that he is, or military trained person that he is in the ship while giving, you know, directions to Martin Short's character. I can't even think of it now, Jack. I thought he did pretty good in those parts. So, you know, I think overall he was fine. Martin Short was good. Like Sandy said, Meg Ryan's Meg Ryan, but she doesn't have a lot to work with in this one. You know, it wasn't a matter of bad performances so much as just too much going on for the movie itself that I don't think anybody really had a lot of, you know, meat to chew in terms of their roles. So yeah, I probably come in at about a 4 on it for me. I can't say I'd recommend it, but it also was, it's like you said, it wasn't an offensive, horrid watch either. It's kind of one of those ones where like, had I been scrolling through the channels and came across it and just started watching it, I probably would have finished it. And by the end of it, I wouldn't have felt too bad about having watched it, but I wouldn't go seek out a rewatch for it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll say, like, we're introducing to 80s ones. We've, you know, Critters as well. We're putting out some winners.
Like, I think I actually liked Critters more than this one.
Yeah, more, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it was just a little bit more fun of a ride.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it's justified. I think these ones where, you know, we've got nostalgia on them, or you remember a movie slightly different than actually is because of like we grow up as well. You know, like there's movies that, you know, you second light, you go, oh, it's not that good. It's like that. Unfortunately, you know, your brain, you know, after like rewatch them, you kind of like see the light of a movie slightly different as your bones start to creak and you start to get a bit old.
Well, especially comedies too, I feel like I was telling my wife after I was watching this, I'm like, you know, there was a movie that I watched when I was younger, Super Troopers, the State Trooper one. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it or not. It's a silly movie by a group that did Bearfest. They did the movie Bearfest later on. They still do some other stuff, but silly little comedy, whatever. You know, regardless, about police officers or state police officers. And I remember being so funny when I was a teenager and watched it and got like huge laughs out of it. And then I watched it as an adult. Oh, something just going wrong with the audio.
Yeah, you just cut out for like a second. Yeah, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I don't know what just happened there.
You just went.
But what I was going to say was that movie Super Troopers is one that as a teen, when I watched it, thought it was so funny, had so many laughs. We're all me and my buddies quoting it, all that stuff. And then I watched it as an adult and I'm like, oh man, this movie kind of sucks. It's really not that funny. Like it just, so sometimes you just kind of grow out of some of these movies, or they just hit you a certain way when you watch them at a certain time. Oh, and then we've got Highlander in chat immediately.
So it has to be a bad movie. It has. If there's capitals in your,
there are, in fairness, Highlander, there are still some jokes like Car Ramrod and some stuff in that I'll still quote because it is still funny. There are a few funny points with Farva and all that in the movie, but it's just there's a lot more of it that, like, I remember being as a kid, or not a kid, a teenager, quoting it with my buddies and then seeing it the second time around, hearing it again. I'm like, oh, that's not actually that funny.
Yeah. Well, I think it is, Dan, this is your first experience, is it, of the most exciting bit of the show?
Oh, yes. Talk about suspense.
Wait, the suspense is going to happen.
Another bit.
Dan, do you not know about the wheel?
It's not over?
The wheel. This is where we put on, like every else, like that, our picks. There's 253 at the moment. It keeps them going down and keeps them going up because we add and we randomly pick a movie. Next week, of course, we've got the great Japanese anime Akira. We're gonna have a special guest. It's not Dan because he's never seen it.
But he's read the manga. I know Dan's read the manga.
Yeah, Dan's 100%. Yeah, he's got his comic book collection out there. He's like, why would you bother with the movie? But yeah, we're just gonna pick for the next show, and let's see, it's gonna be something. Dan, our Sound of Music. We believe it's gonna be something. Oh yeah, we got Sound of Music. No, we haven't. That's like I could do it right here.
Yeah. Tell me when.
Okay. Well, I'm going to click now. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's see if Dan knows this movie. Let's see if Jay knows this movie. Ready? As always, little countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, we mentioned planes, trains, and automobiles. Wouldn't that be funny if it came out?
That would be good. Oh, brilliant. The Sting. A caper. It's a
Robert Redford.
Yeah. Robert Redford and
Paul Newman.
Paul Newman. Yes. A 19. Yeah, is it 1930s, 1920s? It's supposed to be set. I can't remember now.
It looks like 20s, 30s era. It's 73.
Yeah, where we had what did we have? The other one, what was I suppose it's another Ocean's 11 kind of feel, isn't it? Really,
kind
Sandy?
of like you mentioned, like the Italian job.
Italian job.
Yeah, Italian. Yeah, it's a caper. Yeah, it's a caper. It's a very.
Oh yeah, don't do the film. Don't do the theme tune. That's highly copyrighted? We have to. You can't do stop, and that's it.
Yeah, it's
actually it has to be out of copy. I'm gonna do my research. That song has to be close to being out of copyright. The actual song. Because it comes from the 20s and 30s, so it has to be close to out of copyright right now.
Now, I remember I literally fell in love with this movie quite late because it's before my time, of course. But I picked this up like probably in my 20s, like 25. I watched this. Oh, I adored it.
Yes,
I was like,
it is public domain.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, I kind of when I saw this, I was like, how did I not watch this movie before? It was one of those ones. Just before the twist at the end, and just the acting in it is absolutely. It was an Oscar winner. I'm sure it was as well.
Oh, yeah,
Best Picture.
Acclaimed. Yeah, so
it won 7.
And the song is "The Entertainer."
Oh, no kidding. The ice cream truck song.
It's out of copyright, so we can do that.
There we go. We can have a little sing along. There we go. So Jay, you've not seen this movie?
No, never seen it.
Dan, I'm guessing.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Yeah. So,
never heard of the Sting.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
There you go. If you want to, you can do your homework. But yeah, that's a good one. That is another kind of caper. It's got a good. Yeah, I've not seen it for a while, and I'm glad it's come on. It actually did come on TV, and I didn't watch it because it was on the wheel. I think we had that discussion previously. That if it's on the wheel, you kind of back off and go, oh, I don't know if I should watch this just in case it comes up. And it's a recommend. That is straight off the bat. It's a very good movie. It's worth your time to have a little look at that. It's definitely going to be on a streaming service at the moment as well. It's very popular.
It is currently on Netflix, at least here in the US.
There you go. So
it won a ton of Academy Awards. Oh my gosh. It won for Best Picture, Best Directing, Best Writing, Best Costume, Best Film Editing.
Damn.
Didn't
what year?
1974.
73 or 74, yeah.
Yeah, it's
2 hours.
So
it's interesting. I'm actually excited about this one a lot. That looks up my alley.
Yeah, I think it would because it's got that kind of crime caper, bit gangsterish kind of feel to it, and it's but the acting in it is superb. Who won the actor? Who won? Was it?
None of the actors won.
Oh, okay.
None of the actors won. The director, the writer, Best Picture, Best Costume, and Film Editing.
Oh, okay.
But neither actor won. Let's see who they were against, though.
Wow, Robert Redford looks so young in this. That's crazy.
I know. I know. Yeah. Now Robert Redford was nominated, and did not win. They were also nominated for cinematography, sound. They were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 nominations. That has to, for that point in time, that has to have been a record, right? 12 nominations. And Marvin Hamlish won for Best Score as well. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They won 6 Oscars, but none for the actors.
when the Oscars were cared about, because everybody has probably forgotten it's tomorrow.
Oh, geez, is it? Wow.
I think it is. I think it is tomorrow, isn't it?
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. See, everybody's like, I don't care, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, I literally, I would rather do 1,000 other things, if not 1,000,000, than watch the Oscars.
I do like the Film Threat watch along with.
I actually, that's
Chris
enjoyable.
And Az is usually on there, and Alan Ng. I do like that because we're not really watching the Oscars; we're just talking. They're just talking about.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of that last year, maybe a couple years ago. Gary and Az and everybody was on. It was the most enjoyable way to watch the Oscars I've seen in a while.
That's it, yeah, because everybody's like, not seeing it, not seeing it, not seeing it. That was rubbish.
No one's interested in any of these films. Most people haven't seen any of these films. Absolutely. I mean, again, like, so Dan, last time we were saying, or at least I was saying, like, the last time I was in the theaters was, well, I saw Napoleon. James and I saw Napoleon 2 years ago for a review. And before that, it was 2 years before that for Spider-Man No Way Home. Because there's nothing to want to go see. What are you looking forward to, Dan? Anything?
Minecraft movie.
Oh, what's that?
I am curious if they're able to make that work or not, because that's such a big IP, I guess, or franchise, whatever you want to call it, for the game. And I don't know why they didn't choose to just use the look of the game and tell a movie within that look. Yeah. So I'm curious if the target audience obviously is going to be kids. I'm curious if they're going to take to the live action look, or if they're going to be like, if they're going to take to the look, or if they're going to be like, ooh, I really wish this looked like Minecraft.
I wonder why they didn't do it like, like the Lego movies.
Like, it just looks like Lego pieces, right? I've seen like the trailers and stuff, so I know enough to know that like it just looks like Lego pieces, as like a movie based on Lego should. You know what I mean? Like that makes sense. To go live action with Minecraft, one, it seems so overly expensive for no reason, because that's got to, if you could just like I bet you anything you could go on to YouTube and find videos of people doing movies and like making their own little stories or whatever in the world of Minecraft that are probably funny, entertaining, whatever it is, and do it on a nothing budget, because they're just playing the game, doing the voice, you know what I mean? Like doing it that way could have been so cost effective and probably feel so much more authentic.
Yeah. People have already recreated they did it when it first came out with the trailers for it in Minecraft, and it looks a lot better. Although, like, I showed the trailer to my son, and he was like, "Oh my god, it's epic! I can't wait."
So I mean, and that's the target audience at the end of the day. So fair enough. You know what I mean? Like, I can't sit here and complain about that.
No,
I've dabbled in a bit of
Minecraft.
So I've dabbled in a bit of playing Minecraft in my life. It's fun, honestly. It's just good, mindless, creative fun. But I'm obviously not the target audience. Like, one, I don't really care that a movie's being made for it. Two, they don't care that I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's not targeted for me. It's for kids. It's for a younger audience. And it'll probably do great, to be honest with you, because like Jack Black's humor still really works with kids. I know a lot of us adults have gotten tired of it, but, that goofiness works with kids. I think turning things live action is just a gimmick that still really works well with younger audiences, whereas adults were kind of like, all right, I'd almost prefer that you stop turning things into live action because you keep kind of ruining them. So I suspect it's going to do pretty well. The quality of it, who knows?
What's the plot? Because like I say, like that, like you do Lego. The Legos go like, we do a Batman or whatever, Superman. They do kind of what the builds are. What's the plot in this? Because you can do whatever you want.
I don't know what they're going to go with.
The main characters of the film have been like pulled into the Minecraft realm or whatever, so they've like touched this thing, and I guess they need to try and get out. I guess
almost Jumanji like.
Basically Jumanji, but in Minecraft. Fair enough. And then they've got
they run in and they find Steve in there. Okay, so it's almost like a reverse Jumanji, where Robin Williams' character stays in Jumanji, and or I guess like the Rock's Jumanji movies, where they went into the world instead of the world coming out to them.
Yeah,
that's probably what they'll go with.
So it's not on our list. It's the original Jumanji on our list.
But that's another one where like nostalgia. I love it.
I like the original Jumanji.
Oh my god, I love it.
Terrible.
In my mind, I feel like the CGI holds up. I have no idea if it really does, but looking back on it, I love
not on our list.
Jumanji. Not on our list. I love that movie.
Yeah, that is
Kirsten Dunst. One of Kirsten Dunst's first roles, I believe, was in that movie.
Yeah.
Was that before Spider-Man?
No, yeah.
Yes,
Well,
yeah. Well,
first
yeah,
one
she was.
was
I think she was a child
Interview-
actor at this point in that one.
Interview with a Vampire, I think was her
Yeah,
first.
and then this
Oh,
would have
that's
been like
right.
soon after because
Yeah.
she was still a kid in this.
Yeah.
So James,
Right.
do you know what Jay and I added to the list while we were chatting last week in one of his
Oh,
streams?
yes.
Oh, I
We
didn't add it
didn't
to the
have
Blu-ray.
Spider-Man on the list, the original
The
Spider-Man.
original Toby.
The original
Oh.
Toby was not
Mhm.
on our list.
Oh.
That one,
And-
and I don't want to overdo it with the Spider-Man one, but I would have put the Spider-Man sequel, Spider-Man 2, on there as well because I love that
He's
movie.
good.
It's so good with
Yeah.
Alfred Molina.
You can still watch
So
them back to
good.
back in the
Oh,
car.
yeah,
They are
100%.
enjoyable.
The third one kind of sucks, but what are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah, but it's better than what you get now.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
That's the thing. Is that
Fair
movie
enough.
looks better
It's
now.
funny how
Sometimes, yeah,
they've
like,
managed
look
to
back, like,
outdo. They've
yeah.
outdone themselves with being bad at making movies so much that they've just completely redefined what bad movies are, which is impressive.
Did you watch your bad movie yet?
No, I've let it sail. I'm not going to
You let it
bother
go.
with it. Maybe once it,
Yeah.
because I still have Disney Plus for Daredevil coming up. Because I do want to watch Daredevil Born Again because it actually looks good. Fingers are crossed, everything's crossed to try to hope to God that it's good. Because I do love the original Daredevil show on Netflix. So I'm assuming within the next run of that show, I think it's weekly release, that movie will probably find its way to Disney Plus pretty quickly because it's not doing well at the theaters. So at some point I will watch it and see, if it's any, I don't know, if it's any worse than the last one, I guess. I don't even know if I want to say if it's any good because it doesn't sound like it is.
Yeah.
Which one? Sorry.
Cool.
Sorry. We had been talking about it the last few weeks. It was Captain America 4, the new one.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I watched that.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that.
Did
you watch it? Oh, did
Yeah.
you? How?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
then. As Jay didn't go, is it?
Yeah,
is it
you're
that
the resident
bad? Is it
expert.
that's
So
we've heard.
it's not as terrible as everyone's saying it is.
Mhm.
It's not good, but it's not as terrible as everyone says it is. It's like embarrassing in some places, but it works. And again, my son, we watched it with the kid, and he looked like during the action scene, he turned to me and was like, "This is epic! Oh my god!" I was like, I said to him, "Do you know what's going on?" He's like, "Not a clue."
Just a visual feast.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I love it. It's
They're
great.
blowing up things. It's great.
The people are just getting too bogged down with thinking that movies have to make sense, and clearly by Innerspace, movies don't have to make sense at all. So I don't know.
No, I think you
more
got a
that
point.
one
I
is
think
the lore, isn't it? It's the background lore
Well,
behind the
that's
comics
my
and the new.
that's my biggest
Yeah.
problem with all of these Avenger film things, Marvel films, is they expect you to know what's happened in every single other film that's happened before. And like they brought on some character, like they had this scene, and he like, "Oh my god, you've come in!" And like, who the hell are you? I have no
You
idea.
have to
who
watch.
you
Yeah,
are.
you have to watch the
That scene
TV
makes
program
no
to know
sense to
that
me.
program to know
No.
the insight. There was once a
Well,
commercial.
yeah, now it's
So you have
worse
to
with
watch
these
it, and
Disney
there was a
Plus
mini
shows.
short, and then
Oh,
to make sense of
terrible.
that, you have to watch the movie. You're like, well, I don't want to watch every movie or TV
No.
show. It's like, no, to have that connective tissue to understand exactly who's that. I don't care. Does it matter? It's like, I
just want
You
to
should-
have fun. I just want to see
Yeah.
action. I just want to be entertained for a couple of hours. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't
Switch
care
off your
about
brain.
what happened in 20 films beforehand. Like, who cares about that?
Yeah.
No, fair enough. And I think that's honestly, to tell you the truth, that's kind of a lot of what I've heard about this movie is that Captain America 4 is that it's not good, but it's also not the worst thing that they've made, which, fair enough. I think that tends to be a little bit of, the kind of Star Wars fans that are out there that kind of everything that comes out, no matter what it is, it's the next greatest Star Wars. Like, it doesn't matter what the thing is. It's the best thing Star Wars has done since the last thing Star Wars has done. I do think we're starting to see a little bit of a reverse of that too, with things like the MCU and even Star Wars, where now everything that comes out is the worst thing they've done since the worst things. Like, not everything is always getting progressively worse. Like, something can still be crap, but not be worse than the last crap that came before it. So
That's it.
I
We're fickle
think you got to
creatures,
be just like
aren't we?
honest and watch the thing for yourself, see what it is, and then come up with an honest opinion. It doesn't always have to just be, oh, it's the greatest thing since the last thing or the worst thing since the last thing. It's got to fall somewhere in the middle, because things, no matter which direction it's going in, things aren't typically outdoing themselves every single time. Like, at some point, something has to break those kind of cycles.
But so everybody's got those movies that you go, they're awful, but I love them.
Yeah,
and
that's it.
They just shut you off. I like Johnny Mnemonic with that is an awful movie. It's what's his
it's not Johnny Depp, is it?
No, the most likable man in Hollywood at the moment.
Keanu
Reeves. Yeah. Keanu Reeves is in it. It's absolutely terrible. I love it. Every time it comes on, I sit there because it literally drains your brain. And he just it's awful. It has the hero in it is a talking dolphin kind of thing. It's literally really bad. I love it. And there are movies I just go, you know what? I like that. I actually like that.
And
that's
there's
what
nothing wrong
movies
with
should
that.
do.
Right. 100%. Like it can just, it doesn't always have to be this Oscar winning masterpiece. It can just be something that entertains you. I use this example all the time. I enjoy Batman vs. Superman. I know it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie fundamentally in the terms of making a movie. It's not great with the source material. It combines way too many different stories into one and messes a lot of them up. But I can enjoy that movie. I don't know, something about just seeing Batman in that armored suit fighting Superman. It works. I can turn my brain off and just enjoy it.
I think mostly like people get annoyed before even the movies come out. You get told which way you should like the movie. Before
that's what.
The movie. You can't make your decision out. Holdy, you can't have an opinion because you're going to be that. You can't have an opinion. You're going to be that. You know what? We're all different. You know,
right? And you got
Dan likes Sound of Music. I don't.
I think sometimes you got to suspend your preconceived notions about things too. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming up that I don't think looks good for this reason, that reason, or another. But I'm going to go in with a clear mind, try to remove as much bias as I can, because obviously we're only human, and watch it. And if it's good, I'm going to say it's good. If it's bad, I'm going to say it's bad. I'm not going to pretend something's bad if I thought it was good, and vice versa. It just, watch it for yourself and just be honest with what you saw.
Yeah. And it's other ways. You have movies that you go to cinema in and you go, I got high hopes for, and it turns out to be awful. And then you go the opposite way, you go, not sure about this, and you really like it. So they're like, it all comes about. Like, I think me and Sandy agrees. We were looking forward to Napoleon, came out of that shockingly disappointed. But you get those kind of movies.
It was the birth of
it brought something good. I think film just gets really wrapped up in the culture war, and rightfully so in a lot of ways for many different reasons. First, from what things and choices they've decided to make versus fan reaction to them, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But it just gets so wrapped up in kind of its role in the culture war that I think people forget sometimes to just try to enjoy film for what it is, which isn't always that you're going to enjoy the film, but the experience of watching film. You might like one, you might not like one might be okay, one might be fantastic. It's much better when you can just enjoy film for what it's supposed to be, which is just an experience, than always having to view it through the lens of where is this going to fall on the side of the culture war.
Now, someone mentioned Batman and Superman, and we have July 11th. We have Superman.
That's right.
Go see Superman, and then we have the Fantastic Four. So I think, going back to how long it's been since I've been in the cinema, and way before that, how long before that I actually looked forward to something in the cinema. I think Superman, and I think the Fantastic Four, and I think we have to see them to make our own opinions, and we'll see. We'll see. There's nothing else on this list that I am even remotely interested in. I mean, the next big release, God help us, is the live action Snow White.
Which I feel like they're just starting to do commercials for now. It comes out in 20 days. Talk about burying a movie.
The big YouTubers are going to make more money out of that than the actual movie.
Oh gosh.
And
then the Minecraft movie, April 4th here in the States, is the Minecraft movie. So probably either a week before, after, or during for that one. And then a great big huge gap all the way. There's literally nothing here until July 11th. Superman.
When's How to Train Your Dragon? Is that already out?
It's June-ish
in summer.
And I really, really, really hope they do it right, because I love that film. I love How to Train Your Dragon.
I don't get it
good. So, but people are really worried.
Yeah, I don't get why it's a live action though. I don't get it. I like
The trailer looks good.
Just everything needs to be live action. One, they've got no new creative ideas, which is a shame, because something like How to Train Your Dragon isn't all that old in terms of the first one, which was, I don't know, maybe like early 2010s or maybe like 08, 09 era, somewhere
I
in
watched
that
it
range.
with my kids when they were little, and that was great.
It's not that old. And that was a new creative thing that spawned multiple movies, a new franchise. And now, 10 years later, you want to put it into a TV show. I'm sure it's had its share of video games. And now you just need to recycle it into live action? Like, why can't you just create the next How to Train Your Dragon? That's what I can't
Train
really
your jacket.
I don't know. I can't get the words out. But that's what I'm wondering. Is like, what happened to that? Like that simple creativity to spawn a new franchise you can then milk for X amount of sequels and whatever.
Is it because of the writers? They don't have any writers, or there aren't any.
I think that's part of it.
And they're just literally using the same script from the original movie. So
I think the people who think that they are writers have no life experience and therefore are not writers. The best creative writers lived through World War I, World War II. They lived through adversity or had these amazing experiences that they could bring into their writing. Obviously J.R.R. Tolkien is the kind of the prototype for someone who lived through horrible experiences and translated them to paper. But even, more modern day writers who could come up with good stories, a lot of them had to have life experiences. And today, these writers, they just come out of, quote, film school and think they're writers.
And that's what it seems like. It almost seems like it's like a factory that's just producing this carbon copy of same type of writer from the same little bubble of life that, these film schools or writing schools, whatever it was, that they're all just coming in with the same kind of bland, non-creative take on things or ability to create these new stories versus writers coming from all parts of the world and walks of life in the past. And maybe that's just a random assumption. I don't know, but it just feels that way. Like everything's coming out of a factory line, a movies made by assembly type of thing versus actually having good creative new ideas. And there are some that pop up that, like, when they pop up, they feel like such a breath of fresh air nowadays. And that's great, but it's just, we used to live in times like you were just reading all the movies from 1987 where they were just banger after banger movie coming out all the time.
But look at now, like it's all gaming. Some of the cutscenes you get in gaming is like a movie into itself.
Yeah,
and you get gripped by them. It's like that. So there is talent out there because they're writing the cutscenes. It's just it can't relate to what Hollywood doing. They're like, yeah, it's going to get to the point if they don't change, game is going to take out. It's going to be immersive storytelling as a movie.
Well,
in
gaming, the biggest medium. There's more gamers right now than there is eyes on movies. So it's just the inevitable kind of transition.
Yeah, and transition that we do have a pro gamer here. Yeah,
we do.
Anyway, Sandy. Yeah. So but yeah. Anyway, on that, let's go for it. As you're the special guest, Dan, what you got coming up very soon?
I don't know, bugger all. I don't know. I'm probably playing a game or something.
I don't know. Yeah, you're a new game. You're playing a new game. I don't know what it's called.
I don't know if my button works on your thing.
They're gone. Can we hear it?
Can you hear that?
Just about. Yeah, I can hear it.
Tiny bit. Yeah.
It does.
Hang on. What about
Kingdom Come?
Hang on.
Kingdom Come, Deliverance 2.
Oh, don't make me laugh. I broke a rib. Ow.
So how many hours are you into that now? That is,
I don't know, like 40, 50 hours, something like that.
God.
Yeah.
How many?
Like I've only just started.
Oh, okay.
I really want to. I really want to go to the end.
Have you been? I'm assuming you've been enjoying it, not just kind of playing through because you started it.
Hang on.
Oh, he's got something for that. What was that?
Did it come through? Hang on.
No.
I heard something, but nothing.
Oh,
it
I
didn't
pressed
come
it
through.
wrong. Oh, I broke it. Anyway, yeah, I like it.
Making me laugh. Ow, stop making me laugh.
Yeah, I like it. Yes, I really like it. I can't stop playing. I bloody love it actually.
Good.
But yeah, it's so funny. 62 out of 62. Bloody hell, 62
Wow.
hours right
Oh my gosh.
62 hours.
Yeah.
Wow, that's epic. But yeah, that's good. So that's on. I'm guessing for Monday, is it the game?
Yeah,
your
and
film
also
start?
I'm starting to I'm gonna do slightly longer streams as well now.
Oh, nice.
Ooh, okay. Or
Slightly longer.
slightly longer? You're long always anyway. So like that. Just do a
I'm gonna
24-hour
do
stream. Just go for it.
maybe 7 hours now instead of 6.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I know, because my son said, "Oh, can I get the bus home from school now instead of being picked up?"
Oh.
Okay. Nice. Still go get dinner. Stop burning them chips.
Oh no.
Every time, and you burnt the chips again. Well done.
It's 'cause I was
Jay,
talking
what
to
you?
John.
No, Jay, what you got coming on? I did see you did. Is it
some
Spider-Man?
Spider-Man? Yep, I
Yeah,
did some
you did some
Spider-Man last
Spider-Man.
Sunday. I'm going to do some more tomorrow. Honestly,
Nice.
the past week has been doing a lot of stuff around the house to get ready for Baby Nerd Takes, because we're looking at, I think, 10 weeks away or something like that.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it's getting close. So
we got something.
things
May babies. May babies is it? That's
Yeah.
it.
So doing a few
So,
things to get that ready. Just stuff around the house, plus getting the nursery ready and all that. So not too many videos you've noticed the past couple weeks on the channel, but also just not a ton of stuff out right now that I've been watching. So that should pick up pace in the next couple weeks here, and some more streams as well, starting with Spider-Man tomorrow.
Yeah, don't worry, Dan. It's not the same birthday as our two.
Yeah,
so that would be weird. That'd be weird.
Yeah, when's the due date?
Mine, it's going to be May 7th. So give or
Okay,
take, a little bit of time.
Start of the month.
That would be freaky. That would have been freaky.
That would
if
be
it was like
freaky.
that. So yeah, anybody's like me and Dan's kids have the same birthday.
No, there you go.
There you go.
The same exact birthday or just birthday?
But no, same day.
Day, not the
mine's
same
only
year.
3.
Well, yeah, well, that
It can't go
I
on
meant
a bus,
dates.
right?
I didn't
It
mean
can't
the
go on a
actual
bus,
year. I
right?
just meant
Yeah.
the
When
date.
you said you and Dan's kids,
Yeah.
that can happen
He's
now.
just in the other room.
Men can have babies now.
He's
I
next
didn't
to
realize it
Amy in
was
his
the same
cage.
day, though.
He's in the
That's true.
shed.
No kidding.
It's funny, we do actually have a baby, but let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Oh,
It's-
we've heard.
Are you
we
keeping
lost
it
it,
alive?
yeah.
We've heard about the TikTok baby.
It's precious. It's our precious. Anyway, Sandy, we know what happened. Are you going to be doing a live stream though? Are you
No,
going to go back?
no, I'm in for a little while.
little
We knew it was
R&R.
going to happen, and whether it's a broken rib or a bruised rib, it has happened. So, yeah, I'm going to take it easy, let my hand heal, let my back and ribs heal. But I still had fun today, even though I injured myself. I'm just being a big baby. So no live stream tomorrow. There was a nice live stream today. I try to do like one during the week at night and one on the weekend during the day. I'm just having so much fun. Like there's different people from all around the world, and and our usual crew comes in and says hi, like Abe and Highlander and Ben and the whole crew. But I also meet people from all over the world who ask me very specific questions about architecture, which I like. But maybe in a few weeks. But otherwise, I'm still working on my great big huge video with all 200 plus embassies in that one big video. And I have another boring architectural project to work. And looking forward to finishing Akira. So I have the manga volume 1, which is 382 pages. And Jay, before you joined early in the stream, we were having another old person moment when I said, the print's too small. I need a magnifying glass. I need glasses to read the manga. It's so dense. It's really, so the first chapter is in color, glossy color. But then after about 8 pages, it goes into black and white, and, on kind of like pulp print. And it's like 8 to 10 panels per page. And it's really hard to see. So yeah, I'm old lady with my magnifying glass trying to read the manga. So looking forward to Akira next week.
Excellent. That is great. For me, this week got away from me. Literally, it was one of those where I got really heavily back into my writing, so I didn't do any things, and I just literally couldn't stop these little fingers going like that. But I will do. I did purchase a game that looks like I'm going to scream a lot. So if you've not seen any of my jump scares ones, that's going to happen, because I was like, that looks terrifying. Purchase. So I'm going to do that. So it's going to be like I think it's like a 3-hour game.
Watch your shorts freak me out.
Yeah, I finally saw the short of you scaring yourself with the whatever the hell it was. Yeah, sledgehammer.
That was terrible. But I'm going to probably do that as a like a compilation.
Yeah,
like
might
of
as
all
well.
my scares.
Yeah, a
Because
bunch
I
of
was
jump
like, I
scares.
got them. And I was like, oh, how do they look like? Did they up scale to HD? I looked at him and I was like, just pissing myself. I was like,
It's a
how much
shame
of a
that
baby am I?
it's a shame that Jade didn't get a recording of you jumping the second time while you were reviewing your other one.
Oh no, so I didn't tell you, Dan. I like Jade made me watch. She was like, "Oh, let's have a look at your scare." I was like, "Oh, he's coming up there." We had it on the big TV, and I scared myself again whilst watching it. And she just wet herself. She was like that, and she was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I can't help it." I didn't realize I was that jumpy to these things.
Those
So I was
games are
sitting
so
there, and
creepy,
I went,
though.
"Whoa," and like that whilst watching it, and I knew this. She didn't know the jump scare was going to happen. I did, and I still scared myself again. It was absolutely stupid, but yeah, hilarious. Bit of fun. I'm really enjoying them, really hating them sometimes.
You
I
know
need
what
to
it
get
is?
one of those heart monitors you've got and just go for it. It's literally just see it like over 100, like, like all the time. It'd be,
It's not just the subject matter. A lot of those games, it's kind of that shaky cam effect,
Mhm.
kind of that Blair Witch shaky cam effect, and
Yeah,
I
like the
think that
found
gets
footage
me
type of thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. They
That
always do
kind of
point of
view
view,
gets
so
me.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're tightened in, you like that, and especially, I think it's good when you don't because you know it's going to happen, so you get more anxious about it, and when it doesn't happen, you feel relieved. But when it does, you're like so pissed off because you're like that. Some of them are great setups, like the developers on them, and they know when to do it. It's like, yeah, some of them.
Right. They just want to get your guard, or build your guard up, get it down so that you're really
Yeah.
vulnerable for the actual scare.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but yeah, everybody, yeah, but everybody. I'm glad everybody came in, and we had JD Vance with us. He's going to go back to the Oval now. So thank you very much. Had to be done. I've heard you've been causing a lot of problems lately. So that's it. Our
Wow.
American. See, 3 Americans on the panel this week. But yeah, thank you very much, Dan, for popping in about Innerspace.
You're welcome.
That's it. A lot of bit of fun and a little bit of surprise for everyone. Kept it a little bit quiet. So that's it. But yeah, he's going to now do loads of homework on the wheel now. And to the next one. But everybody, I hope you had a little bit of fun for a Saturday for the film club. And everybody, remember Akira. And we're also keeping, of course, Dan up today. It's the latest stream for a while.
Knackers.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting.
Well,
So
lucky
like
weren't here for
nearly
Godfather.
midnight?
Yeah, it's 11:15. But
Quarter to 11.
Godfather one was nearly 6 hours or 6 hours. That was
No, I think we passed 6 hours for that one.
Yeah, past 6 hours. So that was me, and they forgot it. It was the time difference. So I was like, but my fault. I kept on nattering as well. But everybody, have a great one. Remember to sub to Sandy, sub to Jay, and Mr. Porkchop 14. As always, I'll put the links on the description. But everybody, have a great one, and we'll catch you next week for Akira. And we have another special guest. So see you then. All right, bye all.
Bye.